Hello, my dudes. How's it going? And a welcome to a Friday stream. Also, the last day of May 2024. Damn, the 31st. Crazy. So yeah, tomorrow we're already in June. Wow, can you believe it? But so be it. So far, it's been pretty chill at least. So, sure. Hopefully June is chill too. But yeah, so honestly, so far so good this week with streams. I think both Wednesday and Thursday streams were very successful. You know, I had a great time personally. Accomplished a lot of things I wanted to do as well. So hey, win-win in my eyes. Now today, hopefully gonna remedy a bit of the one big fail from last week, which was the cancelled stream, and you know that resulted in me not playing any Mahou Tsukada Yoru. So today, let's try and remedy that, okay? Hopefully not a big jinx or anything like that, but yeah, we're back for some more Mahou Yoru action. Definitely left off in a very interesting spot last time, kind of a cliffhanger if anything, so yeah, I'm very excited to see how the story develops from there as well, of course. Also, hopefully everyone's having a nice Friday. Weekend is imminent, and also on that note, do vote for Sub Saturday if you haven't already. Games will be picked at the end of the stream as usual, of course. And as a reminder, the reserved game for tomorrow is Lethal Company, but we're still going to play at least one or maybe even two other games. We'll see. But yeah, at least Lethal Company will happen tomorrow. Oh boy. Honestly, it's not the worst ever horror game made, but it's definitely still a bit spoopy. So we'll see how it goes. You never know. Okay. Right. Also, yeah, they dropped surprise buffs on JP today. That was kind of crazy. In fact, the funny part is I was literally, when it happened, I was in the middle of editing another video from, you know, I wanted to do another like funny highlight video from the Wednesday stream. But then I was like, oh shit, I have to prio this now because it's brand new content. So yeah, I had to make another edit instead. So yeah, that other edit might come out tomorrow instead then. But so be it. Hey, daily content, am I right? Very good buffs, by the way, for those that missed it. It's buffs for Dawn's 3rd skill and Constantine's MP. Very big and much needed buffs for both of them. Awesome stuff. Good surprises. Also, they're interludes, not just strengthenings. So they actually did more interludes. It's been almost 2 years, supposedly, since the actual latest interludes came out before this. So, yay. I guess they haven't forgotten about them. I mean, they've mostly forgotten about them, it seems, or decided not to do them. But yeah, clearly they're not cancelled, because, you know, we just got 2 more. So here's hoping more interludes again a bit more regularly. We'll see what they end up doing, though. Can't wait to read those in 2 years as well, especially coming hot off of Tron right now on the NA side. Pretty cool timing, I guess. Anyway, we should be good to go for some Nasu action, right, on that topic. Let's see here. Wow. Oh, the chat's gone. Why is the chat gone? Uh-oh. It's not visible. It's a big problem. Why is it not visible? It should be. Can anyone send a message just to see if it starts showing up? Right now there's nothing on it. It didn't have any backlog or anything like that. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it does work. It just didn't transfer the messages, I guess. But okay, it seems to be working. Okay, I mean, that's fine then. It's almost like they remember stuff only when it happens on NA. Yeah, honestly, it could be true that they did it because NA just had charm. It's probably not, because it's probably just a big coincidence, of course, but you never know. It could be that someone in the development team was like, oh shit, our English version of the game just had charm. Do you guys remember charm? You want to do stuff with charm? There's a couple of servants that could use buffs, and they're like, you know what? Let's do it. Because, again, you never know. Could be. could be a thing that they got reminded of it because of that. Because, you know, they still have some people from the JP side visit NA as well for some of our streams and whatnot, right? So, who knows? You wish Charlie's buffs was better? It was really good though. Like his damage potential is way more consistent now because he has way easier time of stacking his king trait thingy. So I think it was a good buff, honestly. Yeah, true. They did buff Charlie before NA got Chom, so I guess maybe it's connected to that then. I don't know. But that was an interlude, so who knows? Yeah, there seems to be a lot of connections usually, Leon. You're not wrong. Like, more than what might seem just, you know, coincidences. Oh, you're saying you wanted his farming to be better? Honestly, his farming was already fine. If anything, it's nicer that he's a better DPS now. Anyway, so we're in chapter 5, and I think now we're gonna go on to the second half, right? Yeah. Night of the Witches 2. Wow. So you guys remember last time? That was pretty crazy. The first half of this. It was very long, but it was very interesting. You know, as a refresher, I guess we were, or Sojuro, you know, ended up seeing Aoko and company doing their magic stuffs during one night, and they realized, oh, he was the witness. So, you know, they can't have anyone be a witness to this stuff because, you know, it's supposed to be a secret and all that. So they had to, they decided that they have to kill him, of course, to eliminate the witness. And then Aoko's plan was to lure him into this now, you know, not in functioning amusement park in a nearby town, in this mirror house, and she was going to kill him there. And it didn't go that way because as soon as she was about to land the killing blow after a bit of a cat and mouse game, yeah, we got assaulted by a puppet that had the face of Aoko as well. And that was a whole ordeal. So they ended up, Sojuro saved Aoko from that. So she kind of felt sorry for him, kind of warmed up a little bit. So she decided, hey, you get to live now. But then as that situation finally resolves, they exit the mirror house after it crumbles also because of Aoko's bombs and shit. We get Alice entering the fray, of course, who might not agree to letting Sojuro go unscathed because obviously she doesn't have that bias now that Aoko does. So drama imminent and maybe some fighting too. So that was a bit of a scary cliffhanger. So we'll see how Alice responds. Let's just jump right into it. Oh, can't wait. Okay, here we are. Chapter 5, Night of the Witches, Part 2. Oh, the music. Hey, we're back. Oh, dude, look at the ripples coming from her. Okay, let's do it. We should at least be able... I assume this will be fairly long too, if this is part 2 of an already long chapter. But, I mean, the plan is to do this full day anyway, so we could probably get a lot of progress here. Right, the melody stirred an emotion like nostalgia within them. Something once familiar but now lost to this world. They believed beyond a shadow of a doubt that it would play for all eternity. First opening stanza to final coda, it was a mysterious siren song, merry yet longing, that heralded a return from dreams to reality. Oh, it's like Pina Coney, get it? Haha. Okay. Oh, the night shook. Is this a familiar or something? That looks kind of cute and scary. A song was spun. Now their lost paradise was unearthed. Abandoned dreams. Forsaken idols. They all responded to the cry of the blue cat. The name of the bell was Diddle Diddle, Banquet of the Night. All fables made possible, all marvels made real, by the magecraft of Alice Kuonji, more magical than magic itself. I guess this thing she uses in her MP as well, right? Okay, yeah. I think this line dropped at the end of the last chapter too. She's not clearly not happy about this development.
それはあなた一人で決めていいことだったかしら、青子。
Alice sat perched atop the clock tower like a black bird of ill omen. Oh shit, Sherry. Hey, thank you so much for the brand new Prime sub. And hey, a big welcome into the Go Gang. Hope you enjoy your stay. Thank you so much. She smoothed the ruffles of her skirt as if she were preening.
Alice.
There was tension in Alco's voice as she lifted her head. The calm atmosphere from a moment prior had long since been shooed away by Alice's gaze. Long-time YouTube watcher. Hey, that's nice. Hey, welcome to the streams. We have it's a bit of a different mood here, of course, because, you know, my videos are very, you know, edited. But, you know, welcome. Hopefully you can enjoy the stream side too. Yeah, it's definitely different though. Soljuro searched his hazy memory. He could not clearly make out her face at this distance, but he was sure he had seen her around town a number of times. Where and when eluded him, however, as the tension in the air kept him from connecting all the dots.
驚いた。随分と仲間思いになったのね、アリス。今夜は私に任せるんじゃなかったっけ?
Damn, is she stepping in front of him? Oh. Hey, Defty. Alco readied her guard and took half a step forward, unconsciously. From an objective standpoint, it almost looked as though she were protecting the figure beside her. Alice's silence grew ever heavier. Her eyes fixed on the ground below her were devoid of emotion. An indescribable sense of dread and pressure laid claim over the plaza. Dude, it's Grabs. If he strained his ears, he could make out the faint ringing of a bell echoing in the distance. The rippling sound waves seemed unbelievably to be emanating from under the ground.
なあ、青崎、あの子。
黙ってて。
Damn. Soljuro stepped back, trying to stay out of the way. It was as though he had been told to go to hell for the crime of asking if the girl was Alco's friend. Wow, yeah, that's a pretty innocent question.
そうね。仲間思いに当てはまるかは微妙だけど。良くない予感がしたから様子を見に来ただけ。別にあなたの仕事を疑ったわけじゃないわ。
She just wanted to check. Damn, well that's unlucky for them.
それはどうも。どうせならもう少し早くその良くない予感とやらに気づいてほしかった。
True, they could have used her help with the other issue.
でもま、ご覧の通り自己解決したわ。夜も遅いし、さっさと帰っていいわよ、アリス。私の仕事っぷりを疑うわけじゃないんでしょ?
Their eyes locked on one another. Alice's stare was uncomfortably cold. Her eyes are so bleak, dude. Alco's was bold, daring Alice to air her complaints.
いえ、気が変わったわ。
Oh?
せっかくだし二人で帰りましょう。その方があなたらしいわ。帰りしな、人形の話でも聞かせてちょ。
Oh, she knows about the puppet stuffs.
らしいって何よ、らしいって。
I would assume so, me card.
いいから帰れ帰れ、ぐうたらアリス。部屋に閉じこもって役に立たないムクドリでも作ってろっての。
Toxic? Yeah, obviously don't go into details if it's spoilers though about that, but yeah. A disappointed sigh escaped Alice's delicate lips. It seemed that the black-clad girl was more astonished than angry.
青子、口にしたくないけど、本気?
Damn. Quietly, Alice questioned her roommate of nearly 2 years.
呆れた。二人で秘密を守ると言ったのに。まだ半端にそっち側なの？それとも情でも移った？別に情っていうより私の気分。だいたい方針なんてその場その場で変わるもんでしょ。気分ならなおさらよ。そっちこそ一度した約束は絶対守るなんて時代遅れなんじゃない？
Damn, there's a lot of tension, dude. The proverbial knives were out now. No quarter was given nor taken. Sadly, their partnership was one of convenience and had not reached a level of mutual understanding. Their version of friendship was both delicate and unique. When a conflict of opinion arose, each would refuse to budge until the other crumbled. Neither was concerned for the other's plight, and at least for now, that was how they liked it.
そうね。今の暴言はあなたらしいとは思うけど。
Damn, they're letting it all out, dude. Once again, she let out a sigh even larger than the one before.
言い争いは後にしましょう。そこの彼をいなかったことにするのは私だけで十分だし。
Well, that's an ominous line. Finally, she struck straight into the point. As if making to move a chess piece, she lifted her slender finger. Oh, oh, the utensil. The fork. Oh, well, that was fast. Okay. Even this simple action seemed mysterious to Sojiro, the same boy who had been hunted by his classmate Aoko Aozaki and borne witness to an automaton. Aoko's violence and an animated doll. Though perhaps far beyond the realm of logic, both these things were derived from reality. As surprised as he had been, there was no need to think of them as total mysteries. However, when the thing appeared out of thin air, from a seemingly unrelated gesture, he had no word for it besides mysterious. He stood motionless, captivated by this stage performer's magic trick, as the girl's single-finger magecraft turned into an attack directed at him. A blue light flew from the side to repel it, annihilating it without trace. Ooh, the bullet. Pew! Damn, she's almost out though. I really like the way the cylinder looks though. It's literally like a revolver, dude. Very cool. I like that they gunified magic, basically. Aoko immediately regretted her reflexive shot. Yabe.
どういうこと？約束を曲げただけじゃなく、ルールまで破るつもり。
Oh, now she's done it, dude. The already chilled midwinter air plunged below freezing. Alice looked calm and collected on the outside, but in reality she was sometimes even more hot-blooded than Aoko. This was especially true when it concerned her familiars. Accidentally breaking one would often result in a week of silent treatment, but against someone who maliciously destroyed her things, Alice was prone to retaliate without warning. Damn, she broke her favorite fork. Aoko sighed at herself. Even she was exasperated by her own stupidity, yet she couldn't help but feel a pang of relief. She did not intend to make any excuses, and she had no regrets. If she had broken the rules, then so had Alice.
Aoko.
なんていうか
If anything, this took a load off her mind. After all, now there was no going back. Aoko never intended to break her own rules. If there was anything for her to regret, it was putting too little power into her shot. Hey, Yasno.
私的に今夜こいつに死なれるのは困るのよ。
Oh, she said it. Oh.
なんで日を改めて殺しに来てくれないアリス。いいでしょたった1日ぐらい。
What difference does a day make? Yeah, surely he won't tell everyone. I mean, he probably wouldn't, but obviously Alice probably doesn't agree to that. To Aoko, it was simply natural to take a pro bono case in defense of an innocent suspect.
それは市場。
悪い？一宿一般の恩義って割と大事にしてるの。
私との協定より。
ええ。時と場合に。
I like the way the portraits, keep swapping. Sojiro's human rights had not yet entered the argument. He's like, hey guys, can I say something too? The girls were busy pouring oil on each other's flames. The girl clad in black was the first to move, or rather, to erupt.
そう。よくわかったわ、アオコ。私は彼をここで殺す。
She don't give a fuck. She's gonna do it anyway.
あなたは彼をここだけ生かす。つまり、私と戦う。ということでいい？
1 versus 1 me, bro.
こんなのいいわけないじゃない。
She bit back the retort. She was very familiar with Alice's magecraft and knew painfully well how many mystics were hidden in Alice's tiny body. The odds of victory were essentially non-existent, and once the first shot had been fired, Alice Kuoji was without mercy. Whether facing a roommate or a friend, a most beloved family member or a stranger, once she began to fight as a witch, she became a heartless, unflappable monster. Alko advanced another half step forward as if to encourage herself. It was too late to back down now. The situation was no longer a trivial quarrel over a witness. The bedrock of their so-called friendship had nothing to do with their individual abilities and everything to do with being equals in will. That is why, in order to stay true to herself, she had no room to compromise or deception.
もちろんあんたを殺すことになってもそこのバカは生かしきるわ。それに
Her magic circus howled as they kicked into gear. Her body, which had mostly been dormant during the battle with the puppet, ignited, preparing to demonstrate its true worth.
それにどのみち最後には殺し合う仲でしょ私たち。
I mean, in the previous parts, they had been saying that apparently eventually they would have to have a fight to the death anyway or something. Not sure why, but yeah, apparently that is destined to happen. Her courage overpowered any fear she had for her opponent. Oh, that's a big one. Tuning her body, her magic circuits to become like a barrel of a gun, she fired a magic bullet. It was an exceedingly basic magecraft formula. There was no nature interference, no creating of wind, parting of water, nor hastening of decay. It was simply the process of converting the imaginary activity known as magical energy into something real before releasing it as heat. Thus, Alko's destructive power was equal to her supply of magical energy. The magic bullets she had used against Sojiro were among the most basic single-action magecraft that did not require an incantation. At her present ability, her main mode of attack, her magic bullets, could be fired at 3 levels of power. These were at the 2nd level. This required a double-action magecraft, a casting through activation of her crest combined with a simplified incantation. Splat. However, without blinking, Alice dispersed the shot that Alko had mustered all of her spirit to fire. Alko tutted in frustration. A swift sneak that used a simplified incantation would not be enough to break Alice's guard.
相変わらずお堅いこと。そのから一段と独りよがりになってるんじゃない？
Alko provoked Alice in order to disguise their own lack of composure. Somehow, Alice seemed delighted by Alko's bravado.
売り言葉に買い言葉というやつね。こういう勢いだけのきっかけは初めてだけど。
Yeah, it's a pretty strange hill to die on, but you know, you gotta see Alko's POV as well, so it makes sense, you know?
驚いたわ。こんなくだらない理由でもその気になるものなのね、人間って。
Humans. She giggled, smiling with heartfelt amazement. Alice gestured her left hand toward the earth. Oh shit, more utensils. Kazikuri Bay. So it's just stab, 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 but apparently they're like, their flavor text is zap. So they're like zappy utensils. Countless utensils shot out from underneath the cobblestones paving the plaza.
しずきくん、後ろに飛んで。
He's like, huh? Is something happening? She grabbed his hand as she shouted, jumping backward before he even had a chance to respond. As if they had wills of their own, the utensils that had suddenly appeared from the ground gave chase. As the barrier of spears grew around them, Alko and Sojiro put some distance between themselves and the clock tower.
これで終わり？
Just under 30 feet stood between them and Alice. The lethal weapons that had crumbled the stone beneath them fell short of what Alco had anticipated. I guess there's plates too, yeah? They now encircled the clock tower, making the scene look like the burning of a witch at the stake. Wow, symbolic. Would Gordon Ramsay have attacks like this if he was a servant too, do you think, by the way?
普通逆じゃない。ここは私たちを逃がさないよう槍で周りを囲むものでしょ。
The path behind them was safe. If they wanted, they could try and make a break for the main gate and escape.
いいのアリス。悪いけど逃げられるなら逃げるわよ。私。
I like that. Look at his face. He's just like, okay, well, that just happened. He's just staring at the utensils. He's like, okay. Nice X mouth. If she could just make it back to town, it would be Alco's win. All she wanted to do was let Soljuro get away for the night, as if she could get him back. So if she could get him back to the city, it would be, for the most part, mission accomplished. Oh. It's blue, green goop.
Huh?
Uh-oh. Or so she had thought. Without even offering a glance at her targets below, Alice carefully and lovingly pulled out a bottle from her pocket.
緑のフラスコ?
She gave Alco one flask too, but I don't think it was green, was it? That was the memory thing, right? But this is like different.
あれって確か。やば！とにかくファイヤー!
Oh. Damn, blocked by the utensils. Her shot was deflected with ease. Gone was Alco's earlier bravado. It was only natural. She had indeed grown as a mage. Over the last 2 years of study, her studies had progressed well, and she'd more or less gotten a grasp of her roommate's tendencies and abilities. Yo, that's a skill. Look at that sprite, dude. The single red eye visible is so creepy, dude. And there's no sound either. Oh shit, dude. He's sleepy. This had made her conceited enough to believe that under favorable circumstances, she'd be able to show Alice a thing or two in a fight. Okay. Oh, the cork comes off. Alice uncorked the magical bottle. A gentle breeze caressed her cheek. Diddle Diddle fled as a new player stepped onto the stage. Oh, is this a familiar? Oh shit. But from where would it enter? The sound of footsteps, a nostalgic parade approached. Oh, the Ferris wheel? Oh shit. It's going back on. Yo. I think this happened in her MP as well. Whoa. Damn, look at all the lights, the music. Damn, did she just power up the whole place? Bruh. Damn. What emerged was a miracle that Aoko Aozaki, an apprentice mage, had never witnessed. Damn, some intense classical music. The dead came to life. The inanimate awakened. The woods were enveloped by the mists, Pogmi. Fire-breathing lizards lurked in the swamps. Puppets made merry at midnight. Alice Kuonji's slender fingers had transfigured the entirety of the park, as if gently stroking the back of an elderly cat.
いいわ。ごっこ遊びをしましょう。青子。
Time for hide and seek. Mage version. Oh shit, dude. Damn, look at all the lights. Imagine being like a regular Joe and seeing this like, what is this? Why is this happening? For one night, the wasteland of dashed hopes and dreams was restored to its former glory. It was an immortal monster ready to devour reality. A dark fairy tale that once unleashed would never let its prey escape.
逃げられるものなら逃げてみせて。
Bruh.
どこまで行けるかわからないけど、この夜を越えることができたのなら、 あなたの勝ちにして。
Damn, survive the night and you win. I mean, probably easier said than done, but okay. Her declaration marked the start of a desperate battle. The witch in black laughed at her friend, her musical mirth filled with affection, sadness, and innocent delight. Okay. Faded glory returned to Kitsy Land. The neon glow of innumerable lights illuminated the night. Speakers filled the air with the sound of vinyl music. Merry-go-rounds, small and large, whirled round and round. All in all, it made for a mind-bending spectacle. It was certainly possible to power the facilities by transmuting magical energy into electricity via alchemy. That said, simply supplying the park with electricity would not have brought back to life that which was broken. Dude, she traced on and repaired everything. The young woman did this not by mixing chemicals into a compound, but by melting down divine providence into a witch's brew.
まずいわね。アリスのプロイは何個か見てきたけど、今回のは桁が違
They're
う。
called ploys. Even in Japanese, he says puroi. Wow. Capital P ploy.
セット。
Okay. Stifling her anxiety, Aoko fired up the crest on her right arm. If magic circuits were a mage engine, then their crest was a software that assisted their magecraft. For the fledgling mage Aoko, this was her trump card. All she had to do was supply magical energy to her crest-based formula. It may have not been the strongest magecraft, but it was hers. Proof that she was the successor of the Aozaki lineage.
講師2層直流数も。
Damn, all the sound effects. FGO, am I right? I think that's when that's on MPs, right? When someone's car like portrait flashes like thingy. The pattern of her crest shifted to execute the formula, which then connected to her magic circuits. The process resembled trains changing rails, a puzzle involving dozens of circuits. She constructed it as swiftly as possible without sacrificing the quality of its construction. Instant magecraft cast without an incantation would not be enough to reach Alice. Aoko had gauged the strength of Alice's defense with her initial shots. She would dial up the power 5 times the next time, driving 20 tons of force into her target. Alice had the protection of the thick, hanging fog and the dense barrier around her. However, this attack would be more than enough to pierce through both. If Aoko struck home, it could cave in Alice's chest and end the fight. Freaking 50 cal over here. At worst, it would at least knock her down from her position atop the clock tower.
そろそろいいかな。
My bad, is finally talking after all that, okay. As always, there was one guy who spoiled the deadly tension, pulling Aoko out of killer mode. Sojiro had been looking back and forth between Aoko and Alice in confusion.
それでどういう話になったの？
He's like, excuse me, what is this? Ma'am, this is a Wendy's? I like that the expression on Aoko changed on the foreground. She's like, bruh, really? He said it like he might ask for directions to the train station. Normally, she would have lashed out in response, but his deadly serious tone shocked rather than angered her.
信じられない。慣れてきた。私。
Is this my life? Okay. She swallowed back a sigh and returned her focus to activating her crest.
交渉は決裂。ちょっと怒らせすぎた。
Well, that is obvious, right?
あの子から見れば、まあいい機会だし、遊園地ごと私を亡き者にしようって腹ね。
Yeah, you got me there, Ebeb. Yeah, I'm a fraud. Damn, dude. Exposed. Sojiro tilted his head as if begging for a simpler explanation.
私、割とあの子に恨まれてるから。捕まったが最後。
Although, actually, now that I think about it, I could just be reading in Braille. You never know, right? Maybe I have a cool software that takes all the characters on the screen and translates it to Braille instead. Then I could read even as a blind person. So, hey, there you go. Easy fix.
要するに
I'm sure those
あん
exist.
たも私も
Because, blind people should be able to read visual novels too if they want. So there's probably software like that. What am I touching, dead? Shut up.
そんなとばっちりだ。
まあそういうことになるかもね。
Shut up. Bite and blast. Boo! That was my reaction too. As Sojiro protested in a tone wholly inappropriate to the situation, Aoko let another blast rip from her right arm. They even called it a blast. Yo. Someone should make a mod, like a simple mod to this game that whenever the word blast is on the screen, they should just attach the word Biden in front of it. It would just be funny. She was not aiming at Sojiro though. A little earlier in the day, Aoko would have been happy to do exactly that, but now her attention was focused on the girl in black atop the clock tower. Woo! And rips through the air. Goodbye, fog. Whoa! What are these, flying horses now? Or were they from like a merry-go-round? It's a lot of exclamation points and question marks. Aoko's mind struggled to catch up to her astonishment. She had fired the strongest, fastest magical bullet she had the ability to conjure, and Alice blocked it. That much was to be expected. When Alice set her mind to defending herself, such an attack was child's play. But what had just happened? Something Aoko had never seen before leapt to Alice's defense. A team of horses? A plague of locusts? No. Those existed in real world, unlike what Aoko had just witnessed. Normal creatures could not form like a spontaneous cloud of fog and then dissipate just as quickly into the night sky. Oh. New music. Oh, is this the MP music? I forgot. Oh my god, what is that? Freaking Five Nights at Freddy's now. Impossible things moved in impossible ways. Alice was not even supplying them with any power source. Those things never needed power in the first place. Those broken and discarded things did not follow the rules of mankind. Bruh. Okay. Dude, it actually is Five Nights at Freddy's. Dude, look at the horse on the freaking train upside down. It looks so weird and creepy. This was an invasion of fairy tales. Compared to them, the automaton looked merciful. Like, look at this shit, dude. Oh my god. It's a new spin-off to Freddy's. Autonomous puppets were products of Magecraft, but even then, they behaved as puppets should. These newly animated things, however, were nothing of the sort. Empty vessels became living creatures. Dummies warped into malformed beings. There was a fog so dense with magical energy it visibly spread to all corners of the park, bringing with it a monstrous welcoming party that easily numbered over 1,000. Damn, that was a rapid blasting. Okay. Spurred on by this shuddering sensation running down her spine, Aoko fired a barrage of single-action bite and blasts. Whoa, balloons. Her impulsive attack scattered futilely. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's that must be embarrassing, right? Like to have like something that's equivalent to a gun but better be blocked by, what look like balloons, right? When balloons are like, even a baby can pop a balloon, right? So it must be like kind of mentally taxing to see that. I mean, they're obviously reinforced by magic, but just the visual of getting blocked by balloons of all things must be kind of, tilting. The knights of the merry-go-round soared into the sky. Green, fire-breathing lizards flocked. The bakeries opened their doors once again, and human-sized loaves of fresh bread marched from their ovens as platoons of newly baked soldiers. This would be cool to see animated as well. Yeah, his face is like, oh, won't you look at that?
Aozaki, uchiro!
Aoko and Sojiro were completely surrounded. The Ferris wheel creaked as it gently turned. A rickety train car raced around about the roller coaster tracks with Kitsy, tears streaming down its face. Aboard. It was a glossily twisted fantasy, or grossly. The girl in black reigned over the insanity-fueled park. Oh, now we're screwed. Alko was transfixed by the scene unfolding around her. Then she realized what was happening.
そうだ。これは。
Alice had once told her of Mynster's familiars. Among them were 3 of particular notoriety, one of which she recalled being capable of something similar to this. And it was called...
プロイキッシャー、フラットスナーク。
Flat Snark. So is this for like reanimating things? Or maybe not even reanimating, because I mean most of these are not even supposed to behave like this in the first place. Interesting.
青崎、だから後ろ。
It's like mass animation is what it is, right? I guess that would be a better description. Struck by Alko's bullets, the creatures exploded into splinters. Oh no. It was clear Alko's shots were becoming more powerful, but it was also the case that these beings were less robust than your average automata.
しずきくん、こっち。
Alko turned away from the clock tower, grabbed his hand, and began to run.
青崎。
ごめん、これ無理。逃げるわよ。
逃げるってどこに？
どこって、とにかく行けるところまで。
She shouted as though trying to persuade herself as she valiantly cleared a path. Her magic bullets flew like a scream, blowing away the creatures that blocked or simply gathered around their path. She made a hole for them to escape through. Well, the run is on. Okay. Wow, look at all the balloons. Damn, all the puppets are getting blasted. Man, so much action. Magical bullets exploded like blue fireworks. Alko and Sojiro ran down the bumpy brick road. Their bond, forged in the heat of battle, went far beyond mutual convenience. They headed for the park's exit at full speed without exchanging a word or a look. The weirdness only extended as far as the park border, so they would be safe as long as they made it outside. But, dude, the bread dudes... It's kind of creepy on the face with the, the cuts and whatnot. Speaking in pure numbers, the difference in strength was 2 versus an army. Or rather, 1 versus an army. Sojiro was hardly useful in this situation, and manpower wasn't really the issue here, since they were facing puppets.
さっきの大丈夫？上からこう、でっかいハサミが落ちてきたけど。
Alko shouted as she blasted away the monsters that stood in their path. There was no time to stop for breath, or even to look back.
なんとかギリギリ。
Do you think they taste good? I mean, maybe. I mean, they were freshly baked, right? They were coming out of the oven, so... You would think so. As Sojiro pursued, his voice too had naturally become shrill. 5 minutes earlier, they had broken out of the siege at the plaza surprisingly fast. It seemed that the residents' awakening differed case by case, with larger creatures taking additional time.
ラッキー、朝に弱いタイプばっかと見た。
Alko joked as she mowed down the small fry that popped up. But then, without warning, something outrageous extended its way down from above them. Oh my god, what is that? It was the claws of the 60-foot lobster adorning the roof of a seafood restaurant. Oh god. Freaking Elden Ring, giant crabs and shit. I mean, it's Dark Souls too. Its pincers were like a guillotine. As Alko and Sojiro cut across the front of the restaurant, the Red King pressed in at tremendous speed, keen on splitting them each in 2. Gotta attack its weak point for massive damage, dude. The gate was just on the other side of the restaurant, but they had to take the long way around in order to lose the giant lobsters snapping at their heels. Waiting along their detour had been a horde of monsters, too many to count.
なんとかギリギリ。
Sojuro called out in response, recalling just how narrowly he had avoided his head being severed clean from his body.
手前うわなんだあれ焼きたてか
Asking the important questions here. Are they freshly baked?
そうみたいね。要するに下級兵士よ。
Alka halted her sprint and set her crested to full operation.
7、6、5メートル。あの程度ならスナップだけで事足りる。
Sliding along the brick path, she brandished her right arm. She loosened a shower of Biden blasts. Snap was a single-action spell that favored rate of fire over power, and it mowed down the monsters with satisfying pops. So it's basically her equivalent of an SMG, right? Fire rate, but not the highest caliber.
青崎そっちも
了
Or
解。
fire rate, rather. Ooh, the cylinder spins. Boop, 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 bam, 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 bam. Now, the quality of the production quality is so good, though. This is really evident here, especially. Blue explosions bloomed along the lamplit promenade. Alka's curtain of fire fanned out. It was a marvelous star mine fireworks show. The toy bread bed turned to charcoal.
いける。数でこそ押されてるけど、この状態が続くなら逃げ切れる。しずきくん、そっちは。
Yeah, they're freshly baked, and after Alka blast them, they become like roasted. You know, that could be cool too.
いない空いてるここからなら入り口の東側に出られるはずだ
With a magical barrage that would leave an average spellcaster blue in the face, the novice mage broke through the siege. Oh, it's the burb. Meanwhile, gonna sneeze. First one of this stream. Not today though, but the stream, I suppose. Probably several more later. A single bird keenly watched everything unfold. Chirp. Chirp, cheep, 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 chirp. The moment the blue bird descended into its master's field of vision, it made its high-pitched call. The girl listened expressionlessly to the report.
構わないわ。予想通りよ。
Have I completed every grail front? I haven't done the last one yet, no. But I'll do it maybe later today, I don't know yet.
撃つこと、壊すことしか脳がなくても、青子の魔力の使い方は波じゃないから。急増の使い魔じゃ、まだ相手にはならないでしょう。
The robin flapped its wings as it tweeted in response. No, it X'd in response. Come on, get with the time. Perhaps it was criticizing Alice for complimenting Aoko. Or perhaps it was jealous of Aoko for being praised by Alice. Alice could barely make sense of its chirping rant. Aoko was a novice mage. Until just 2 years ago, she had grown up with no background in magecraft. Compared to Alice, who was raised as a witch from birth, Aoko possessed far less talent and experience. Dude, this could be like a wallpaper engine background. Just like animated with the burb and the lights. Look at that. Just have this. Chirp, chirp. There was simply no comparison to be made. In a contest of skills in magecraft, 10 times out of 10, Alice would be declared the victor. However, that narrative changed when it came to a battle of life or death. Alice was not the type of mage suited for combat, while Aoko, on the other hand, was built for it. Damn, built different, dude. In a contest that pitted magical energy against magical energy, even Alice would concede that Aoko had the upper hand. Ooh. Aoko's manipulation of magical energy was extraordinary. The scale of her circuits was smaller than that of Alice, but their rotational speed, durability, and output quality, not to mention efficiency, were otherworldly. That was Aoko's hallmark. Though she had many failings when handling sophisticated formulae, in just 2 years of practice, Aoko had surpassed Alice in simple formulae that merely required an energy input. She had also genius's instincts and adaptability. Though Aoko was not particularly proficient at executing magecraft, she was terrifyingly fast. If she had been born outside the Aozaki clan, she would have doubtless risen to fame as a competitive sharpshooter or an esports pro at FPS.
でも残念ね。
In a straight shootout, Alice did not stand a chance. She had never bothered to learn primitive magecraft like magic bullets in the first place. She was the classic puppeteer. Her familiars served as her arms and legs to carry out all the particulars of a battle.
制限時間には気づいているわよね、青子。魔力はいくらでも貸してあげるけど、あなたの魔弾はあと半時で値崩れするわ。
Okay. It's the 80s. Yeah, I know. I was just making a joke. I know what the time period is. Chirping as if in agreement, the robin took flight. It had been nearly 10 minutes since Alice had made the amusement park into her dominion. To what would the green fog give birth next? Aoko and Sojiro, still running about, would soon come to understand the gravity of their situation. Ominous. And the blasts keep going.
しずきくん、正門ってこっち？
ああ、その店を曲がれば出口だ。
Okay. Surely they can just run out the, the gate. Running non-stop at full speed had them at their limits. Their breath ragged, and the duo rounded a corner at a breakneck pace. Amusement park though it was, this was still the infamous Kitsy Land. It would have taken a high school student 20 minutes to sprint the entire circumference of the park. Damn, that is huge. What the hell? And though they were now intimately familiar with the park's geography, it was changing beyond recognition. The transformation was not limited to the park's residents either. Yeah, that would be too easy.
青崎、
何を？
言いたくないんだけど、この遊園地広くなってないか？
It was. Their problem wasn't as mundane as mistaking the location of the exits, nor the strange terrain. No, the park was warping and twisting in upon itself. Even as they ran, its structure was expanding and growing, like that of a living creature. I'm gonna write one note for myself for later. Just something that popped up into my head. Okay, there we go. Soon the pair noticed that the mob encircling them had grown even stronger. Entrusting her back to Sojiro, Aoko summoned all of her effort just to keep from whining. No one would blame Sojiro for cowering in shock, but for Aoko to do the same, she bore responsibility for causing and then dragging him into this mess. She could not afford to succumb to panic.
大丈夫。落ち着け私。遊園地の果てはある。遠いけど、鉄柵はちゃんと見える。フラットスナークだって制限なしってわけじゃない。外に逃げるって選択は正しいはず。現状、外までは目算で1キロぐらいだけど。
Up until now, they had been too concerned with simply running. Their breathing had become labored. If they had to run another mile without rest, they'd end up collapsing along the way.
青崎、体大丈夫か？
The whisper from behind pulled Aoko back to reality.
大丈夫だけど、ちょっと一息入れたいわね。
賛成。ここから休みなしで外周まで走るのはやめた方がいい。
驚いた。しずきくんも外まで走ろう派とは。
She let slip a giggle. Far from debilitated by panic, her comrade in arms had been analyzing the situation and forming an escape plan.
ちょっとだけ建物に逃げ込むのは。
気は進まないけど、それしかないわね。
The breadmen had them completely surrounded. Perhaps this might have been a problem for an average person, but for Aoko, breaking through their formation to get to the building would be a kitsch. The issue was...
問題はどんな店を選ぶかってこと。
She considered the characteristics of the transforming park. What would pose a danger and what was safe? The most important factor was not the strength or the complexity of the building.
そうだ。選ぶならあの単純さで正しいはず。しずき君、あっち。
After routing the monsters, Aoko hopped behind the counter, soon followed by Sojuro.
カウンターに隠れてて。
Like she was in a Western shootout, Aoko squared off against the monsters using the counter as cover. Frickin' machine gun over here.
ここならスナーク化しないんだ。
Okay. Safe? Question mark? After assessing the current state of the enemy, Aoko sat down under the counter.
あいつらは
店の周りで地団打踏んでるわ。理由があってね。
Damn,
あ
they're
いつらはこ
molding,
こには
dude.
入ってこられないのよ。
Nice. Oh, it's pronounced as sedge. I wasn't sure because I honestly don't even know what the word means. Is it similar to pinch? Like being in a pinch? Probably not. It's probably way different. Aoko gave the perplexed Sojiro a grin and took a moment to catch her breath. She heaved a heavy sigh of relief and fatigue.
とりあえずコーヒーブレイクね。ここは遊園地の中でも遊びのない場所だから、あいつらにとっては鬼門なのよ。
I first read that as the boldest place in the park, not blandest. I was like, what? Wow. Is that concerning?
レジスターも調理器具も最近のものだし、擬人化されたマスコットもないし。
It means something is easy to do?
ちょい
Okay.
文明犬すぎるってこと。
So me doing your mom is a sidge? Good example.
スナーク
あいつらの名前よ。つけたのは私じゃなくてアリスなのかしらね。あの子の性格的にちょっと想像できないけど、まあとにかくそういう名前。
Perhaps now at ease from knowing they were safe, Sojiro seemed enthralled in her explanation. Aoko could not help but chuckle as Sojiro nodded sagely. He was certain that he had no idea what she was talking about. What's blood waffling about? Normally this would have irritated her, but this time she was grateful for the warmth of this strange sobriety.
それはともかく調子良さそうだな青崎
Mistaking her smile for composure, he broke into a smile himself. It was just another link in a chain of misunderstandings, but there was no need to redress it.
あれ？あなたから見てもわかる？私のマダンの威力が上がっているの。
Oh.
そりゃミラーハウスで散々追いかけ回されたからなあの時と同じ動作なのに物騒さが増しているのは嫌でもわかるでもいいのか確か数に限りがあるとか言ってただろうもう随分撃っちまったけど
Yeah, she's been blasting like crazy.
20、30じゃ効かないぞ
あんた、時々あれよね。
ん
Her opinion of him improved just a little bit. Is it because he remembered what she was talking about?
なんでもない。私のマダンの威力が上がっているのは、単純に魔力の濃度の問題。さっきから霧がかかってるでしょ？あれ、全部魔力なのよ。弾を撃つための燃料と思って。
She absorbs the magical fog, huh? Magical energy was divided into two broad categories. First was Odd, which produced inside a mage's body. Second was Mana, which filled the atmosphere. At the moment, the amusement park had turned into a fairy tale land overflowing with mana. Although it meant nothing for the average person, to a mage it was a paradise where spells could be cast as much as one pleased. Damn, that's kinda cool.
じゃあ残り魔力とやらは気にしなくていいのか
Unlimited mana works.
注意すべきは怪我と体力だけ
まあ、個人的な責任においてはその限りね。
Sojiro breathed a sigh of relief. From his perspective, more so than the monsters she mowed down, Aoko was the biggest bully on the playground. He had been concerned about what would happen should her magical energy be exhausted, but luckily for him, she was far from surrendering her crown. Yeah, keep it up, my queen.
りにしてくれるのは嬉しいけど、ぬか喜びよ。あんな雑魚たち、ただ動いているだけのガラクタなんだから。
Hey Fate, how's it going?
スナーク本体は当然として、アリスが他の童話の怪物を出してきたら、私じゃどうにもならない。
Dramatic music, hello.
他の童話の怪物。遊園地をこんな風に変えたやつ以外にまだいるのか？
そう。プロイキッシャーって名付けられた、私たちでさえ目を背けたくなる反則。不可能な夢物語をも再現する時代に取り残されたデタラメよ。
Sojiro's expression seemed to be calling her out on her hypocrisy.
あのね、私たちはちゃんと現代に寄り添った魔術師よ。
Okay.
できないこともあるし、当たり前のことだけど、近代兵器にはかなわない。20世紀、まあ、いろんな戦争の後押しで、兵器の進化は私たちを超えちゃったから。
The Zoomers coming in with their actual guns and shit, rendering the boomer mages useless. Well, not really, but you know, at least less value, I guess. Was an OG Okita your original wife when this changed to Jinako? I mean, I like both a lot. I don't really usually choose just like one above the others, you know, because that's cruel.
けど、あの子のは違う。どんなに人間の技術が進歩しようと関係ないって怪物なの。
I mean, I'm gonna try and have all the Okitas at 120 as well, which, if that's not a statement, then I don't know what is.
例えば、あのブレッドマンいるでしょ。あいつには自動拳銃とか効かないわよ。多分、意味が分かっていないから。
She casually gestured outside past the counter.
アリスの使い魔は、全てが空想によってこねられた神秘なの。前提からしてありえないことだから、通常の物理法則と折り合いが悪い。空想と現実は両立しないっていう、ごく当たり前の理由でね。
なるほど。ブレッドマンってのはあの動く焼きたてパンのことなんだな。
I mean, pretty much, sure, yeah. Multiple waifus instead of one? What? That's like most people, though. I think you have it backwards, June. I think most people, especially FGO players, they have multiple girls they sim for. I can't even remember anyone that only sims for one girl. Like, I think you have it backwards, dude. He seemed to have ignored the majority of Alco's explanation and only reacted to the part that caught his curiosity.
話を戻すけど、
Direction of the VOD is so good. A lot of funny shots. Yeah, the expressions are amusing, yeah.
あいつらと近代兵器の相性は最悪。ロケット弾でも効果はないわ。意思の疎通、秩序の共有ができてないから。プロイキッシャーにとって彼らの世界には存在しないもの、意味がわからないものは触れることなく。
Well, that's kind of OP. You don't understand something, it can't harm you. Damn. So if you're dumb as bricks, you're invincible. Wow. Can I get that armor too?
彼らに通じるのは同じ神秘を帯びた魔力だけっていうデタラメぶりよ。もう完全に概念空間っていうか、概念宇宙っていうか。
Like, you don't use rockets in baking, so a rocket launcher does nothing to be wrecked.
要するに、あいつらは伝承防御っていう特別なルールを持っていて、単純に強い力、強い魔術じゃ効果は薄いの。元になった童話にちなんだ欠点をつかないと倒せない。
Damn, folklore defense, there it is. I guess it's their skill.
ギリシャ神話のアキレスあたり分かりやすい例えなんだけど。
Ooh. Familiar with Achilles' myth, huh? Yeah. I mean, I guess it is a good analogy. Yeah, true. He shook his head. He doesn't know. Come on, boy. You know, he doesn't know about the heel.
無事帰れたら飛び丸あたりに教えてもらって。定番だけどいい話よ、あれ。
Well, he was feeling pretty lost, but he did his best to grasp the situation. I guess he probably doesn't know anything about like history or mythology or anything, because, you know, again, he was raised in a freaking mountain. He thought that ploy kickshaws were scary enough to chase Aoko and that puppet from before out of the house barefoot. Certainly the scene before them was the stuff of nightmares. But Sojiro had a different way of thinking.
やっぱり青崎の方が怖くないか。
Oh, it's also her damage cut passive? Oh wow, that's cool.
あんた死ぬの？
Dude, this shot is kind of funny. Do you wanna die? Ready it up, dude. She's like, just say the word, dude. This could be a wallpaper too, to be honest. It's kind of funny. Yeah. On the topic of the funny moments. Okay. He waved in protest, silently pointing out that she had made his case for him.
あのね、今
I like
私
the
たちを
music
取り囲ん
pause
でる
too.
のはおまけに過ぎないの。アリスにとってあの
Yeah, that is a good expression.
ソーセージ
One of her better ones so far.
全部が全部私が打ってるマダンより価値がない。いい？あの動くマスコットたちはね、ただのおまけなの。アリスが解放した童話の怪物の一呼吸みたいなものなのよ。
呼吸ってこれが？
Breath.
私だって考えたくないわよ。でもそれが現状。たった一体の童話の怪物だけで私たちは手一杯。そういうわけだからアリスがあと一体でも追加したら諦めて。
追加ってこれに制限はないのか？
あの子が出し惜しみしなければまだ何体かストックはあるでしょうけど、まあ成立する条件はあるわね。
Okay.
例えば川がないと目を覚まさない怪物もいる。この遊園地噴水はあるけど川はないでしょ。
Can't bring the river monster out. The Loch Ness monster, dude. I guess that would be a lake.
童話ってかけそばとか？
Yeah. The fairy tale about a bowl of soba noodles. Yes, of course.
ここに川がないのは不幸中の幸いね。もしあったらもっと直接制圧に向いたやつが出てきてた。
She continued, completely ignoring Sojiro.
話の続きだけど、アリスの魔術の基本はマザーグース。
Baza
知らない
Goose.
か。イギリスの歌で遊び心に富んだメルヘンチックな内容よ。ただそっち系のプロイキッシャーは怖くないの。みんなそれなりになんとか魔術にも落とし込める範囲だから。
Okay.
聞きたくないんだけど、そっち系じゃないのは？
マザーグースを下地にしたとある創作童話系。あの子のお母さんが好きでね。こっち系のはどいつもこいつも尋常じゃない。私たちから見ても勘弁してって言いたくなるわ。
Summer Musashi using the grail. True. That and hot dudes and hot girls.
で、この遊園地を生き返らせたのはこっち系よ。多分フラットスナークってやつだと思う。私も聞き流していたから。
I mean, it's the same with the Kara no Kyokai movies, Gray. You learn a lot about how the, laws of Nasu's world works by exploring a lot of these works. He swallowed the discomfort making its way up his throat. He really wanted her to explain things a little less vaguely, but something she had just said necessitated further investigation.
待て青崎、あの子の話を聞き流したってなんで？
いや、説明してもらったのは随分と前だし、あの頃はアリスの話あんまり信じられなかったのよね。
His recommended entry to the Hasuverse. I mean, I can see why. It's not, well, one, it's not overly complicated because it's just mage stuffs, and two, it's nice and modern, and it really looks great. So it's really polished. So would probably leave a good impression on someone.
私が素人だと思って大げさに自分の魔術を語ってくれてるな。舐められてるな。
I'm the same for sure, Gray. I definitely, I mean, as much as I like the mage stuffs and the whole Nasuverse and how the world works, the magics and everything, I still much prefer the servant stuff for sure. Because it adds so many more layers with true names and noble phantasms and just everything. It just adds so much depth to it, right? I mean, I'm very much enjoying this too, don't get me wrong, but like if I still like the Fate stuff the most, the servant stuffs. In truth, if anyone hadn't taken the lesson seriously, it was Aoko. She would learn that the lesson firsthand soon, though, when she experienced just how real Alice's monsters were. She'd also discover how heretical the Mynster witches truly were in the world of magecraft.
その聞き流した内容は
何でも強力な結界を張るプロイだって。アリスが受け継いだプロイは山ほどあるけど、その中でもえりすぐりの一つよ。捨てられたもの、忘れられたものを童話的に蘇らせるやつで、今まで誰も破ったことがないとか。
Well.
それでついたあだ名が触れられぬもの。
Pretty cool title.
フラットスナークじゃないのか？
それもあだ名。とにかく正体がわからないやつばっかりなんで、一つの個体に複数の名前が
Bunch of different names for the same thing, huh? Classic Dasu stuffs.
フラットスナークはその中でも正体不明さはトップランクのデタラメぶりよ。あなた、ルイス・キャロルのスナーク狩りって本知ってる？
いや、そもそもルイス・キャロルというのは
Clueless.
そっからか。ドジスン教授はそうね、特殊性癖を持った妄想紳士ってとこ？まあこっちは別にどうでもいいか。人によっては時間の無駄だろうし。今重要なのは彼が残した著作の方。スナーク狩りはね、スナークって呼ばれる正体不明の怪物を捕まえようと奔走する冒険家たちの話なの。キャロルらしい皮肉ばっちり、支離滅裂、意味不明、結末不在の本当に困った本で、一行は島で苦しみつつ最終的にはスナークを見つけるものの、見つけたベイカーは唐突に姿を消して終わってしまう。
Whoa.
よくわからないもの探しに奔走する人間の風刺なんだけど、この遊園地において誰がベイカーで何がスナークかは言うまでもないで
I
しょ。
actually don't know Lewis Carroll myself. At least the name is not familiar. Roro. Alco elected not to share this, but Flat Snark had other popular names as well. The Enigmatic Island, the Five-Dimensional Plane. These names were not given to it by Alice, but rather muttered by mages whom the Mynsters defeated. The author of Alice in Wonderland. Oh. Well, I know that story at least. Okay. Sure. In mathematics, snark is a term used in graph theory to refer a contradictory and impossible planar graphs. PTSD from my university, dude. A plane proven to be unable to exist in this world was given the name, apt for an ill-fated existence paradoxical in nature. The fairy tale monster ascribed this name was said to hold no form discoverable by man. Alco also declined to mention something else. Flatsnark was a fairy tale monster that could grow. It would hide somewhere in the amusement park, continuously exhaling magical energy until the park completely transformed into a fantasy land.
脅かしてもしょうがないし。
Is that what she meant when they said like they're running out of time or something? Probably, because that's probably happening all the time here.
何か言ったか？
別に。簡単に言って童話世界の再生がフラットスナークの力なの。この遊園地との相性は抜群でしょうね。何しろ元々が童話を元にした遊び場だから。
If this had been a business district, for example, Flat Snark would have been posed far less of a threat. At most, its power would be limited to projecting the shadow of a dinosaur onto a building's window panes. I mean, I'll read Tsukihime eventually too, Hineko, you know? When the remake is a bit more accessible this year, that's a good start. Still sad it's not going to come out on PC though. I have mixed feelings about that. But at least I should be able to, you know, get my hands on a version anyway. Like the Switch. Soljuro realized that something was wrong when he noticed a glutinous liquid dripping onto his back. Whoa. That was a bit spoopy. He looked up to the ceiling. Their eyes met. Before he had a chance to think, he hopped up from the floor. Taking the initiative, he jumped out from behind the counter. Trying to stop him from committing an act of suicide, she also came to her feet. Immediately, she noticed something coming to life overhead. Bruh. Hello. Well. The gargantuan mouth clamped shut. With no mascot to speak of, the burger joint itself began to transform into one giant monster. Damn, the Borgar consumes you instead.
もうなんで天井にピエロの絵なんて描いてんのよあの店。普通もっと違うところに労力割かない？そんなにピエロが好きなら入り口にでも飾っとけ。
I mean, to be honest, I don't think you can defend Nasu on this. He's just an idiot when it comes to, you know, making his works more accessible. You could say, like, money is besides the point, but surely he wants people still to read his shit, right? He's just so clueless about PC stuff, sadly. Like, he's the classic Japanese boomer that doesn't know anything like how popular the PC is as a platform these days. Yeah, that's what the 2 was saying. Like, yeah, sure, money might be besides the point, but let's be real. Nasu is a fucking idiot sometimes. Altria is one thing, but PC as a platform to him is also completely alien, sadly. So, yeah, it is what it is. Alko aired out her grievances as she ran. There was no safe haven left. Moment by moment, the last remnants of civilization were being eroded away by fairy tales. Yeah, hopefully it's still eventually gonna come out on PC, though. Ooh, the music. Oh, it's a dragon. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, he said like people should read them on like their TVs or something instead of playing them on PCs. Like, come on, bro. What are you talking about? Just, I want to play them on my, you know, PC. I like it like this, you know. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a weird thing. The amusement park had reached the final stage of snarkification. It was not just the mascot characters that had been granted life. Like the burger joint, even the buildings had begun to transform. The roller coaster that made its way about the park writhed and twisted like a Chinese dragon. Doesn't care about outside Japan. Well, okay, that still doesn't make sense from the PC standpoint. Like, yeah, sure, Japan for the longest time was, you know, PCs were a rare thing, of course. But nowadays, I feel like most households in Japan nowadays have PCs as well. So it's not like the olden, like early 2000s anymore. We're in the 2020s. Like, basically every house has a PC or laptop or both, you know? Like, there's no reason not to go on PC. Like, sure, even if it's just Japan, he's just, for some reason, he's like very hesitant about PC. It makes no sense. Yeah, again, that's what I'm saying, Char. He has misconceptions. He doesn't know what's actually happening and what people would, you know, care about. He just has this old school mentality, you know, what a lot of Japanese boomers do. Like, they're too old school. I mean, don't get me wrong. So I love some old things and some old school vibes and whatnot, but sometimes, you know, you gotta give in to some modern conveniences, you know, for the sake of just, you know, being decent. So, yeah. Alko and Sojiro stared dumbfounded by the Ferris wheel, which had grown to over 250 feet in height. Hordes of breadmen closed in on them as if to offer tickets. Pew, pew, pew. Mobs of trinkets, actual kickshaws, rampaged the park. Whenever a hole was punched in the envelopment, it was instantly filled. It was a battle of attrition with no end in sight. But that was a matter of course, as there were a few fairy tales about limited resources.
なんかどうしようもないぞ。こいつら増える一方だ。
Uh-oh.
スナーク本体を探して。童話の怪物には本体に当たる器物があるの。それさえ壊せば遊園地から出られるはず。
Man,
本体ってどんな？
that was like a multi-kill.
さっき言ったでしょ。童話の怪物は現実にないものだって。今までいなかったおかしなやつとか現実じゃありえないもの、それが本
Oh,
体。
the bread.
おかしなやつって例えば？
だから命のある人形とか空飛ぶゴーカートとか。
She paused her firing for a moment. After saying this out loud, she realized just how deep their grave was dug. Cares about Japan outside of various reasons between the laws and other stuff he already hates the Japanese rating system. Will get the world game. Yeah, I mean, at one point, it's true. Again, consoles were the platform. Like, if you were a gamer in Japan, console was everything. And then came mobile phones. So it was like consoles and mobile phones. But in the current era, even PC is now huge in Japan. Like, everyone's playing Genshin on their PCs, for instance, even in Japan. So, like, you gotta you know, I'm not sure why you're trying to defend him so much. He's just blind to advancements in technology. That's what it comes down to, you know? It is just a stupid decision not to do like that much. Something like this would be so easy. Like, this is not even a full 3D like game or something, an action game. Obviously, that would take a lot more resources and time and stuff to port to other platforms. A visual novel being ported to like every platform ever is so much easier. Like, it would be so easy to do. But for some reason, like, oh, no PC for Tsukihime. I don't know. There's no good explanation for it. Besides that, he just doesn't understand modern times. That it's as simple as that. I don't know what to tell you, dude. The amusement park was a treasure trove of fairy tales creatures on any given day. Who could say what was impossible amidst the newly transfigured knickknacks running around?
そっか、おかしくないやつなんて一つもないんだ。この中に紛れ込んでる。
Hoping that she was wrong, Aoko bit her bottom lip. Flat snark was the type of ploy that deployed bounded feels. Well, call it what you want, Char. You gotta realize, you know, not as much as I love Nasu as well, he's not, you know, can do no harm, evil. He definitely sometimes makes stupid decisions too, you know? So, while I love the guy myself too, you know, sometimes I just don't understand what he's thinking. Seeing as he was commanding so many familiars, it would not be unusual for its main body to have little or no, or even no defenses. Furthermore, if it was modeled from a story about it being untouchable and unidentifiable, it would be logical to assume that it would collapse on itself shortly after being discovered.
逆に言えば、見つければ私たちの
I
勝ち。
mean, who knows, Anonymous, yeah?
そんな脆いやつが雑魚に紛れ込む。木の葉を隠すなら森の中って言うけど。
This was closer to the truth than Aoko realized. As long as there was the slightest possibility of it being hit by one of the Aoko's stray bullets, it would not dare appear in front of them. Its true form was orchestrating the park from somewhere safe.
でも、どこかに見えているはず。スナークは本の主題だもの。常にページのどこかにいないと、主人公の視覚がない。
But where? Put very simply, the Ferris wheel was the safest location in the park, as well as a symbol of its past glory. Perhaps.
あの子を捕まえるのは。
Hey Kindred, how you doing? I'm just having a good time reading Mahoyoru today. Pretty intense moment going on as well. Her eyes opened wide at the sudden suggestion. While Aoko had been trying to come up with a plan to overcome this stalemate, it seemed Sojiro had been racking his brain as well. His proposal was a simple one. If they could not find the snark, they just needed to take out its master, Alice. Ooh. Alice had not moved at all from the clock tower. Even from there or here, they could make out her figure, draped in moonlight.
それは一番ダメ。アリスを殺してもフラットスナークは止まらないし、このトンデモが外に溢れ出すことになる。
So it's not tied to her, I guess. She just released it.
だいたい私じゃあの子を殺せないから。よくて半殺しがいいところ。
A breadman, angered at the insults hurled towards its master, moved to attack and was mercilessly burned to a crisp. Not the bread, dude! The two stood back to back, catching their breath. With no plan to speak of and no route of escape, they had reached rock bottom. Meanwhile, the oddities were forming a circle around their prey, as if they smelled blood in the water. They were about to be dragged into a bakery for the oven, minced in the meat grinder at the butcher shop, skewered and paraded around atop the carousel, walked the plank of the thorny pirate ship. After 2 years of slumber, they were eager to welcome their new guests.
一応聞いておきたいんだけど。
何？手短にね。今考え事してるから。
ああ、あの連中が何をしたいか嫌っていうほど伝わってくるんだけど、それってあの子の趣味なのかな。
その疑問はなかったわ。連中の人間嫌いは遊園地の怨念とフラットスナークの性格じゃない。基本的にまともなやついないから、アリスの使い魔って。あ、でも。
Aqua was unable to deny that there were some similarities.
それは結構。それで青崎の考え事って止める方法考えついたのか。
期待させて悪いけどお手上げ。ま、あんたが殺されれば止まるでしょうけど。
それは嫌だ。とりあえず逃げよう。
しずきくん。
She blinked in surprise at the sudden turn of events. Sojiro, who had until now been meekly following her lead, had grabbed her hand and pulled her with him into a head-on charge at the swarm of bread in an attempt to break out of the encirclements. Look at the bread fly. Bruh.
なんで今の流れでそうなるのよ、あんたは。
Alco nonetheless followed his uncharacteristically gung-ho lead, cursing him all the while. Alone, he had no chance of breaking through the surrounding wall of enemies with brute force. She regained her bearings and let fly a spray of bite-and blasts ahead of him. Who was her V again? It's Haruka Tomatsu, who also does Raiko in FGO, believe it or not. It's kind of hard to believe, but yeah, it's the same VA. They burst through the nets and ran as hard as they could. At this point, all that was left to do was what they had planned from the outset: get out of the park. Yeah, it's Raiko, yeah. She can do a very impressive mommy voice as well, apparently. But not before addressing what needed to be addressed.
なんでよ、さっきはあんなに諦めよかったのに。
She could not begin to comprehend Sojiro's reaction.
ミラーハウスの時と今は違うだろう。いいから走れ。
違わないわよ。あんたを殺そうとした私も、あんたを殺したいアリスも。
Yeah, like she sounds completely different to Raiko, but yeah, it's just, you know, that's a talented VA for you. Like I can't hear any similarities. Though she wondered what was getting her so worked up, she did not stop. She told herself that the degree of Sojiro's stupidity, charging the bread bed so recklessly, had caused her to lose her cool.
あのね、一緒に逃げてるぐらいで勘違いしないでくれる？言っとくけど私、明日に会ったらまたあんたを殺しに行くから。
Damn.
死にたくないってんなら、ここで私からも逃げ出したら？
That's a lot of work, you know, just to, you know, kill him the next day. Kind of sus, but okay. Sure, dude, whatever you say. Okay.
それはまた今度の話だろう。だいたい青崎に殺されるのならいいけど、あの子に殺されるのは嫌だ。
だからなんで？
だって顔も知らない、話したことさえない相手だ。
Can't really blame him for that. It was like someone had doused water over her blazing fury. Her anger was snuffed out by the absurd simplicity of his reasoning. He's like, I can't be killed by her. I don't even know what she looks like. Could it be that he did not mind being killed by someone as long as he had met them? Alko grimaced as she followed him. Interesting. I mean, I guess he did get during the mirror house, after the chase was over and he was about to be killed. He was he was not resisting anymore. Like he was gonna let Alko blast him anyway. So maybe it's something to do with that too, I guess. From her spot atop the clock tower, the girl observed the growth of her familiar. Flat Snark, a savior of the discarded. It was a vile, vulgar fairy tale monster who provided those abandoned by fate with a glimmer of hope before snatching it away. Alice had it under her control, but she was still keen on to keep the Snark from expressing its bad habits. After completing a lap around the park that had now reached the size of an entire town, the Robin made its situation report. It seemed Alko was prioritizing the safety of the boy. Even if it resulted in wasting an entire day, choosing not to capitulate on a decision was very much like her.
青子のことだから、時計代ごと私を焼き払いに来るかと思ったけど。
The bluebird cheeped in response. Was it denying its master's portrait of Alko, or agreeing that it was Alko's style to do exactly that? An outsider might interpret its interjections either way.
退屈?
The robin jumped at being addressed so unexpectedly. It chirped and flapped its wings like a flustered servant frantic to say otherwise.
珍しく気があったわね。いいわ。せっかくのゲームだし、もう少しだけ盛り上げましょう。
What does that mean? Calmly, she pulled out a small object from her pocket. It was a dark gray Easter egg, and emanating from inside it was a ticking of a clock. Yeah, look at it. What is that? Is that a house inside of it? Looks like a window. Interesting. The egg. The robin knew it to be a ploy kickshaw with a bad attitude, far exceeding Flat Snark's, knowing to be among the best in one-on-one situations. Oh shit, 3D egg!
いってらっしゃい。
Oh.
称える時間は20分に設定したわ。
Okay, what does that mean? Uh-oh.
いつも通り、控えめに壊れてきて。
And together with the witch's breath, the egg filled with praise disappeared. Suddenly, a strong wind swept through the park. The words, "I could have killed them all by myself," floated through the air. It was the disappointment of something enormous that was visible to all, yet overlooked. Again, ominous words. This visual novel has a lot of those. Okay, time for a new drink. Okay, time for the fun moment again. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh. You guys stay hydrated too. Cheers. Oh, that was a good crack. Bepis. Very good. Very, very good. How many cans? I don't know. There's probably somewhere like around 20 there right now. I always fill the bag and then go recycle it. You know, get some money back, help the environment and all that. Right, Alko and Sojiro continued their dash toward the boundary separating the park from outside. Oh, I'll tap. Oh, there we go. Pew, pew. The Curio horde that stood in their way had reduced in number. The iron fence that separated the two from the outside world was just over 300 yards away. Fortunately, there were no particularly large buildings barring their path. If the Ferris wheel had stood in their way, That would have spelled the end, but thankfully it had yet to reach its full strength. The only things that appeared before them were weak oddities that could easily be handled by Aoko's simple bite and blasts. She would have said bake it to the fence if only her lungs would allow it. Since she was utilizing the ample mana filling the park, her tank of magical energy was nearly full. Moreover, the condition of her body's circuits was steadily improving, to the extent that she would be able to unleash at least one all-out onslaught. Until... Oh, dude, it's the egg. It's coming. Uh-oh. What the hell? Something unusual was hovering above her field of vision. It was locked on Sojiro, hovering 10 feet above him over to one side.
The
egg's been following them. He had seemingly noticed it before Aoko, hence his previous awkward glances toward the sky. In truth, it would have been stranger for him not to notice, as the thing was practically glued to him. Oh, dude, it's doing things. Damn, look at that 3D animation. What does that say? I don't think that... It looks like it says Alice, but like the... does it say Queen Alice? On the bottom, but it's like the letters are all flipped up and whatnot. They're like weird. I think it says Queen Alice at the bottom. Yeah, I don't know what it says besides that. Moon? Crass? Queen Alice? Moon Crass? I don't know. I think it's a C instead. Or is it a G? Maybe it's a G. Yeah, it's G. Yeah, it's Moon Grass. Okay. Turn your head upside down. I think it's like, it's not just upside down, but yeah, okay, fair. In terms of its size, the floating object measured about 3 feet in diameter. Tiles covered its exterior, about which a multitude of spinning lights dance about. It's actually not that big, huh? 3 feet? That's like a meter, right? Or so, maybe a bit less. I forgot how the conversion goes. He asked, not really sure what to call it. I mean, it's big for an egg, but not like enormous for, you know, something that would be like super menacing. Her bullets bounced off it like it was made of rubber. That trait, the ability to deflect all outside interference, confirmed Aoko that this thing was undoubtedly a ploy kickshaw. 3 meters is pretty big for an egg. No, it was like 1 meter, right? It said 3 feet in diameter. Isn't 3 feet like 1 meter or so? I forgot how the conversions go, but yeah, it was 3 feet. Like it's smaller than them then.
Oh.
She picked up her pace as she barked orders. The Eggman, who sat on a wall, he would crack just as the tale spoke of. Nothing anyone could do or say would cause him to fall, but the moment they stopped looking, he would tumble down and break into pieces. Yeah, I assume the source material would have used meters because, you know, Japanese do, so it is what it is. I don't mind if they do that, but at least they should have an option in the settings like which units of measurements to display, imperial or metric, because it's not much effort to translate into both, right? I mean, sure, there's those numbers on like every chapter. We get some every chapter, but it's not even that big of an effort, right? Compared to, it's like 0.01% of the whole, you know, text of the visual novel anyway. So they probably could have it as an option and translate to both ways. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, damn, that is a glooming egg on the sky, dude. Look at that. It was the Mother Goose poem, Humpty Dumpty. If Sojiro was its target, then the moment he averted his gaze, it would tumble and explode. Either way, it was gonna scatter something troublesome when it fell. Its oval shape, the keyhole adorning the front, and writing inscribed upon it, they all made her anxious. Keyhole? It's Abby's forehead. I solved it, dude. If it was an egg, that meant it was gonna hatch at some point. Even if he continued his stare, once the time came for whatever was inside to come out, they would have had even less ability to conserve their energy. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I think that was like Genshin has like Humpty Dumpty with Klee as well, right? But you know, they're probably referencing the same thing.
あまり全力で走ると。
後のことは考えないで。いいからしずきくんは卵だけに集中して。
At this critical juncture, Breadbed stepped out to join the egg and blocked their path.
邪魔！
The Breadmen were marching forth in grand battalion. At her level of firepower, Aoko should have easily mowed them down. However... Whoa, guts activated.
肩焼きかっこの。
Damn, the egg gave them guts or something. Oh. Big Biome Blast. If Snap failed to do the job, that meant it was time for her to put her crest to use. Draw. A formula-triggered bullet encased in a full wind jacket. If her previous shots were equivalent of a machine gun volley, then this was her artillery shot. I'm so clueless when it comes to English poems, I'm not gonna lie, Dragon. I don't even know Finnish poems either. I don't know any poems, to be honest, but yeah. You get my point. I'm not much of a poem guy. Or knowledgeable about any of them, you know. The hard crust bread that had absorbed her snap without a dent scattered into thousands of tiny pieces at her draw's torrent. You know, no rose or red. I mean, I know that one of. I don't know like absolutely nothing, but come on. It's not freshly baked anymore. Yeah, I was just joking. I assume it didn't actually get guts from everything. You know, gotta put them FGO jokes in. Hardened bread. They're not very fun to eat though. Well, it depends. Some bread actually works hardened, so Like the only bread I eat right now is like hardened rye bread basically. Like it's not even normal rye bread. That's kinda, you know, flexible, you know, you can like twist and turn and whatever. This one is literally a it's hard, like you can crack it into a piece. It's like a cracker almost, you know, but it's bread and made of rye. Those are the ones I eat nowadays because they're good for fiber. Very good. I don't know what they call it in English, but they're good. Of course, the destruction did not end with just the breadmen. What had once been a brick road was now thoroughly stripped of its pavement. The nearby stalls had been wrapped into twisted steel skeletons. Flatbread? Yeah, maybe. I honestly have no idea if they what would they call it in English. Ciabatta bread is the best. That's like ciabatta is like it's like a baguette with fillings, right? Like some, you know, spices and whatnot. I think. If that's what it is, then yeah, those are pretty good too. It was a spectacle that made Sojiro question what the greater obstacle to their escape was. The wall of breadmen or Aoko's ability to lay waste to things. Can you concuss someone with it? Oh, the ones I eat? No, they would break. Like if you would hit them with it, they would just break immediately and not do any damage. They're pretty fragile. Damn, look, upset Aoko is upset. The teeth! The return of the teeth! She's gonna bite. Careful. You've cut yourself with hard bread crust. Damn, can't say I've ever done that, but yeah, I guess that can happen.
言っとくけど、あんたがあいつらに囲まれちゃったらアウトよ。私、人質とか意味ないタイプだし。そもそも区別して撃つとか、そういう。
Yeah, I don't think Japan is very known for its, you know, bakery stuff streaming. Like, especially because you're a European, right? Especially like Central European. Like Germany, for instance, is well known for, you know, all like their fresh bakeries and whatnot. So you're probably similar to in the Netherlands, if I had to guess, right? Alco, Rin. Ooh. Probably Rin, because I don't know Alco as well as I do Rin. But I could always change my mind later. I don't know. This made a lot of sense to Sojiro. He had not fully appreciated the part about hostages, but he got the gist of it.
つまり今はどこであろうと危険なのか。
Well, that's bad.
あんたね。
Offended though she was by his typical naive response, she could not help but be impressed. He was a straight arrow through and through. His eyes stayed firmly focused on the egg overhead, even amidst the chaos of the melee unfolding before him.
その分なら安心か。物分かりは悪いけど、一度言われたことはきっちり守るあたり、あなたのいいところよね。
Yeah, I used that as examples about because I know Dreaming is from the Netherlands at least. Cool to see other people from NL as well though.
そんなことより青崎、俺の気のせいならいいんだけど、さっきのパン硬く。
まあね、あいつら少しずつ強くなってきてるわ。大量生産が軌道に乗ったんで、今度はクオリティアップをテーマにしたのかも。しずきくんでもお察しの通り、ここからは手強くなっていく一方よ。あのパンたちでさえ個体差が出てきたみたいだし、考えたくないけど、そのうちジャム塗ったりレタス乗っけたり、果ては合体したりして。
They Bart start spreading themselves with jelly. They're gonna start preparing themselves. Well. So wait, do Americans eat bread with like mayo and jelly and shit, right? I always found that weird. Like the only thing you put on top is basically like butter. And then you maybe some toppings that you want, like some ham or something. Like I've seen people do put like mayo or jelly or something on bread. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Just butter your bread and put something on top if you want, or eat it as is. I've seen some people put mayo. I don't understand it. They used bread as a currency in Egypt. Yeah, true. I mean, you know, it was valuable, so it makes sense, of course. They use mayo to toast the bread sometimes. I see. Okay. I mean, I could maybe see that, but okay. Still kind of weird, though. I'm still, again, I can't help but I always bring this up, but I'm mind blown that Americans do not eat fries with mayo. Like, I was shocked to learn that. I thought they would, of all people, would do that. But I guess it's mostly a European thing or something. Like, it's the best combo ever. Like, fries with mayo. It's the best. Like, you have a fry and you dip it in fucking delicious mayo. Yeah, you guys only eat ketchup. Like, what is that? Like, they only eat ketchup. Like, it's so boring and basic. Come on. Freaking get some good chili mayo or something. You'll never go back. I promise you. Try that shit. What do you mean mayo suck? Oh my god. Every time this conversation happens, I'm always mind blown by that, dude. Yeah, that yesterday's a great combo. You mean fries with mayo? Yes. That's what it's meant to be. That's what they do in like Belgium as well, where fries were literally invented. Come on, dude. You gotta have sauces with your fries, dude. Even so, you can even put multiple sauces if you want. Come on. Anyway. Though she was joking, her eyes were dead serious. Sojiro shuddered at the thought of the situation growing even more dire.
じゃあ、そのうちミラーハウスの人形ぐらいに怖くなるのか、あいつら。
間違いなくね。そこまでレアなパンになったら、
Well, that sounds
私も
like
自分だけで手一杯。
sad, sleepy.
ところでしずきくん、ああいうのと喧嘩できる？
Damn. Can he 1 versus 1 a bread man? Ooh. Asking the real questions. He shook his head, and a look of complete aversion upon his face.
でしょ？なら急ぎましょう。
Damn.
いろい
Feels
ろ余裕
bad.
ないんだから。
Alko took a quick deep breath, then began to sprint once again. Far in the distance, through the fog, the iron fence waited, 300 paces away. As long as nothing happened, they would make it there in one piece. The One Piece is real! Sojiro followed after Alko, holding on to that all too convenient hope. But hope was something ever fleeting. In fact, it lasted not even 300 yards. The edge of the amusement park may have well been the edge of the world. And the clouds are moving. No, it's the city. Interesting. The gate. The exit. Is that many gates or something? Oh wow. Dozens of undulating horizons could be seen. Roro. Maybe not that simple after all. Crowding the sky like a giant cloud or a thick curtain, or perhaps groaning lips. It was the end of the road, the outer limit of an outrageous and fantastical realm. And yet, Alco found it to be much like the last page of an enormous picture book. That is literal gatekeeping. Wow. Well, shit. The sight turned her mind blank. Well, this is about as bad as it gets, she thought. The Snark, this island of despair, had at last brought Alco to her knees as she stared at the swelling border. The park indeed had an end. Even now, as she and Sojiro had expected, a fence divided the amusement park from the residential area neighboring it. It had both doubled in height and had been made sturdier, another hurdle she had foreseen before even laying eyes on it. Expecting it to have been snarkified, Alco had come prepared to demolish an obstacle or two, but this construction before her went far beyond a mere wall. It was an ocean that separated the underworld from the mortal one. The iron fence was like a restless, surging sea. One or two walls could easily be toppled. Even 10 or 20 could be dealt with one way or another. Between the power left in her body and that which filled the park, putting on a brave front was within her power. She could fully mobilize her circuits and her crest to the point of burnout in a last-ditch effort, like some reenactment of the parting of the Red Sea. Yo, my man Moses.
でも、それで終わり。
Even if a path could be opened, she would not have the energy left to walk it. And it was obvious that would be what would become of her afterward. The residents would hardly forgive her for wreaking such havoc around their park. Like ants drawn to honey, they would swarm the helpless girl and tear her to pieces. Despondent and exhausted, she felt the faint sting of remorse. Escaping the park, looking back on how they had gotten here, she recognized that her choices had been her undoing. Under the golden full moon, beams of steel bent and merged like wireframe sculptures. It was only a matter of time before the amusement park itself became one colossal monster. The horde of familiars gathered in the plaza where Alice was had formed an impenetrable blockade around her. Just above the head of the boy beside her, the whispering egg, called Scratch Dumpty, continued to shuffle what appeared on its surface.
青崎
しずきくん。
The boy's voice snapped her out of her trance, if only for a moment. The stark reality of the situation quickly dawned on the novice mage. The sheer hopelessness of it all, as it ripped out and snatched away any will she had to resist.
ゲートに行こう。ここはどうしようもないけど、入り口ならもうちょっとマシだろ。
Okay.
フラットスナークだっけ。こいつにもルールがあるって言ったじゃないか。なら、これは役割の問題だ。初めから鉄柵は通れない壁だけど、ゲートなら出入り口として機能している。
Let him cook. He had not given in to panic. Alco found herself honestly admiring his ability to analyze Snark's characteristics, given the circumstances. Now calm, she steeled her resolve.
そうね。確かに門はあると思う。けど、たどり着くのは難しいわ。一番弱かった焼きたてパンですら、今はもうあれだもの。広場や入り口には、もっと上等なのがたむろしてるだろうし、門だって、あの観覧車以上の怪物かもしれない。確か、大きなキッツィちゃんだったでしょ、正門って。
青崎はゲートには行かないのか。
まあね。 それよりこっちの方が現実的だし。
She took another glance at the undulating iron fences. It was too late to achieve their goal of making it out alive. In that case, she decided to prioritize the other promise she had made.
今からこの鉄柵を壊すから、あなたはそこから外に出て。
Oh shit. She's gonna be a martyr. Uh-oh.
それで、私の役割はおしまいよ。
Though her words were few, her tone told the whole story. She was telling him to escape by himself.
信じられない。こんなの青崎だけじゃ壊せないだろ。
私だけならね。でも今はこの遊園地が味方してる。燃料がこれだけあるんだから。
She needs to do a full bite and blast.
一発、それでも一回が限度だから、穴を開けたらあんたには全力で走り抜けてもらうしかないけど。
She would carve a path through this iron sea of fences, gambling on one final effort, a great incantation to launch the biggest bite and blast she could manage. As an outsider, he could not even begin to imagine just how much of a burden this would be for her. All he could imagine was a hazy vision of her being left behind in this park. What would happen to her? Would that girl in black come to save her? Cruel as it was to imagine, he knew she would not. After Alko had exhausted her very best in order to save him, that girl would not stay her hand. The only way Alice would let Alko off the hook was if Alko killed Soljiro as payment. And so...
20メートルぐらい離れてて。準備に手間取るけど、その卵の表面が茹で上がるまでには終わらせるから。
Hard-boiled egg. It went without saying that this was the only path.
待ってくれ。俺を逃がすって言うけど、それに意味はあるのか、青崎。
ないけど、外に出られたところでアリスから逃げ切れるとは思えないし。けど、これぐらいは最後の意地よ。守るって言ったんだから、できるところまでやらないと。
Surprised by her seemingly moral stance, Soljiro saw Alko in a new light. Ah, but of course, he realized that she was not fighting for his sake, but for the sake of her pride.
そうだったな。けど、それなら俺だけ逃がすのはらしくないぞ。
何よ。いいから離れてて。
Move that ass. She eased off just a bit. She recalled how, an hour ago, he had gotten the better of her.
青崎、まだ意地を張れるんなら他のことをやろう。このお化けみたいな鉄柵を壊せるなら他に壊すべきものがあるはずだ。
ないわよ。悪いけど私は目に見えるものしか壊せないの。最後まで形のない希望にすがるとか考えるのも寒気がする。いい？今はフラットスナークなんかよりこの壁を壊してあんたを足抜けさせるのが私の現実。私に負える最大限の責任って。
逃げるのか？
Well, she was just about to turn her back on him when Soljiro clutched her hand. His words caused something inside her to boil with rage. It was as though someone had set her heart on fire. The surprise that pricked open her true feelings and the disappointment she felt toward herself thawed her frozen limbs.
誰が逃げるのはそっちで逃がしてあげるのはこっちだって言うのよ。甘く見ないで。いざとなったら遊園地ごと爆破してみせるわ。
Wow, she's motivated now.
そうか。ならここで俺を逃がすのは無駄だな。その気迫は本命のために取っておこう。それまでは俺も手伝うから。
は？手伝う？それこそ無駄な気遣いよ。
Yeah, it's kind of backwards, but sure, dude.
頭きた。いいから逃げろバカ。だいたい走り詰めで息も絶え絶えなやつなんか使えないわよ。
そりゃいい加減ヘトヘトだけど、そういう青崎なんか疲れ以上に傷の方が痛んでるだろ。
Not to mention the injury to her back that she had nearly forgotten about. Even now, she couldn't ignore the pain that the automaton had inflicted on her spine. With iron will, she'd managed to push it out of her mind.
ほ
Mostly.
ら魔術とか抜きにすればまだ俺の方がマシじゃないか。入り口までおぶっていくことぐらいならなんとか。
できないことは口にしないで。もういいから言って。慣れているもの、私は。でもあなたは違う。こういうの初めてでしょ。だからいいの。
The fact that they were a team. The fact that she would still have to kill him after all of this. Damn, new music though. None of the irony was lost on her as she said these words. It didn't matter anymore. Still, Sojiro didn't let go of her hand. He gripped it even harder. His expression was the same as ever. Alko frowned, trying to figure out if he was upset with her.
確かにこういうのは初めてだ。けど山じゃ危険な目ぐらい合ってる。鹿に襲われたことだってあるんだぞ、俺は。
Damn, the deer attack though. Real business. As a city girl, she had no idea what it meant to be attacked by a deer, but his determination was apparent enough. True. Looking back on it now, he had maintained his composure through it all. A normal person would barely be able to talk through such panic. Perhaps growing up deep in the mountains, far from civilization, had taught him how to stay calm in the face of so much.
だから信じてくれ。少しでいいから。
He spoke his plain, unadulterated feelings and released his hand. There was no lie in him. In fact, he was too honest, so much that she found it hard to believe him. He had no reason to go that far. As it stood, Aoko had no future. After confessing this and telling him to escape, why did this boy still offer to help a person like her?
わからない。どうしてそこまでするの？私に付き合えばあなたは死ぬのよ。これが最後だからちゃんと考えてよね。あなたはここで逃げるべきよ。
それはわかるよ。でも行かない。
He's not running, dude. He answered immediately, realizing that she was looking for his reason. This level of insight in him demanded a round of applause.
そうすると青崎が死んでしまいそうだ。
His words were as irrational as always.
だからどうしてそこまでするのよ、あんたは。
She was yelling out of frustration. After thinking for a moment, he replied.
そりゃ君が好きだからだろ。
Whoa. I mean, there's a reason for you. Shit, dude. Okay. Simple and to the point. His face seemed to ask why she would even question him so. There was a pause, no more than 2 seconds. His surprise attack had stopped her in her tracks. Alice was not the only one who had an ace up her sleeve. That line reached deeper than even than Flat Snark could ever hope to. All Alko could respond with was an expression of pure shock. It was a simple, stubborn reason, the strongest kind on earth. Probably boxing, because, you know, I like boxing food of those two, but I don't really have big, you know, interest in learning either of those myself, to be honest. Sojuro Shizuki was indeed incomprehensible to be able to work unconditionally with someone who was trying to kill him. But she felt as though she'd finally grasped a sliver of his true nature. Tobimaru and the others' assessment of him was correct, as vexing as it was to her to admit.
バカね。私はあなたのこと嫌いなのに。
Damn, she's like, I don't care, dude. He laughed at her sour grumbling. At this point, he was used to her insults. Their clash of wills ended here. Aoko's blood ran hot from her blazing heart. If he was going to make her a face like that, all she could do was to try to think of a way to get them both home.
私だって逃げっぱなしは性に合わないし。
Damn, convinced.
いいわよ。最後まで粘ってみる。それにしずきくんが付き合ってくれるなら、何かの役には立つでしょ。
Though her tone had lightened, there was still hesitation in her eyes. It was only natural. She had not even a clue as to how to begin to fight the Snark. If only she had just been a bit more skilled or had trained just a bit more, there might have been some way to look for it.
我ながら情けない。せめて正体を暴く手がかりでもあればいいんだけど。
Unconsciously, she let her apprehension show. Sniveling was pointless. She would have to just figure it out by herself, but...
なんだ、正体さえ分かればいいのか？
She gave him a look as if to ask what that was supposed to be.
いや、だからおかしなものはどれかってことだろ？
He made a face that suggested she should have brought it up sooner.
わかるのあんた。
Oh, was he observing something?
多分。いや、結構前から気になっていたんだけど。
He whispered in her ear quietly so as not to be overheard. It was certainly unexpected. Also whispered, so we can't know what it is yet, goddammit. Blue balls. But then again, equally obvious, after he explained the mistake, she knew right away that he was correct. At last she had an inkling of what Flat Snark's original form, namely... Ticking. They strategized for 10 minutes. After deliberating the Snark's true form and figuring out a plan of attack, the two exchanged nods in acceptance of their roles.
それじゃあ、ここからは別行動ね。でも、ミラーハウスの時みたいなのは勘弁してよ。この作戦の肝はあなたなんだから。
Well, to be honest, I feel like it wasn't really his fault in the plan in the mirror house. They just didn't know how the enemy behaved. Like, it just didn't care about Soldier and just immediately ran off instead of being, you know, baited by him. So I feel like it wasn't really his fault, but, you know, fair enough, I guess. Though she jabbed him for his previous failure as a decoy, her voice was bright. Her original vigor had returned to her at Sojiro's discovery of the truth. Meanwhile, he was also getting serious in his own way. He took Aoko's warning to heart.
ならいいけど。いい？さっきと立場は反対よ。
Wait, she's the bait now? What? That's kind of weird.
失敗したら死ぬのは私じゃなくてそっち。もうフォローに回れないから、できるだけ慎重にね。
わかってる。今更ながら、やっぱりさっき逃がしてもらえばよかったと思うぐらい慎重だ。
He nodded, telling her to leave it to him. Though he made it sound like he was holding a grudge, it seemed to him to be the only way of showing her his resolve. Aoko let out a sigh of defeat. Once more, she couldn't figure him out.
ほんと、大バカなんだか大物なんだか。でも任せた。期待してるわ、しずきくん。
She had wanted to say that she believed in him, but apparently that was way too embarrassing for her. Well, she turned away from Sojiro and began to run. She had begun to think that maybe this change of pace was not so bad after all. That smile, though. Whoa. And so ended the intermission. The young cast members were handed their new lines. Whatever happened next, the Night of Witches had, at long last, entered its climax. Ooh. Okay. Damn, the snitch is back. She was filled with foreboding at the Robin's report. Apparently they had gone in opposite directions. The park's residents had set off after the boy witness, and it would take them mere minutes to capture him, so the bird said.
どういうこと？追いかけているのは本当に彼。青子が変装しているのではなく。
The robin flapped its wings, chirping away any doubt. It had seen with its own two eyes. Aoko was heading for the plaza, while the cocky brat was making a run for the roller coaster.
青子が彼を見捨てたですって。 そんな簡単なことならいいけど。ダ
Sus.
ンプティは彼に張り付いているの？
The robin nodded enthusiastically. It didn't know about the other birds, but with its superior night vision, it had seen that sucker clearly because he had moved to a high point.
ダンプティはなんて？最後まで歌わせろ。こんな褒め殺したい間抜けはまたとない。ですって。
Scratch Dumpty was a ticking time bomb that would drop and detonate the moment its target averted its gaze. This is one of those you have to keep looking at it. pretty scary. That is, as long as his target continued to observe him. In a way, he was a gentlemanly ploy kickshaw, though Alice wished he would forego such niceties when in battle. Just go explode, please.
そうね。視線を切らないだけではダンプティからは逃げられない。表面の死が完成すれば扉が開く。彼がどこまで逃げようと、あと少しでダンプティがしまってくれるわ。
Until the park, or rather the snark, was destroyed, Sojiro would not be able to escape, which meant the larger concern was Aoko. She had promised to protect the boy, which begged the question, where was she running to?
ここにいる限り、青子の動向はつかめない。
Alice looked out over the park, ignoring the robin's attempt to get her attention with its plumage. Flat Snark had nearly reached his full size. It was a different breed of beast compared to the other cheap ploys. To her, it was one of her 3 most irreplaceable and precious familiars.
そうね。任せたわスナーク。青子が諦めない以上、あなたも手は抜かないで。
Alice remained where she was, with the same historical merit as the troll under the bridge and the poison-clawed reptile. Flat Snark was one of Alice's ultimate ploys. She was placing her trust in its reputation and ability.
でも忘れないで。これはゲームよ。勝敗がついたのなら。
I mean, this is a game. It's a visual novel. They're still games. She's correct. Wow, meta moments. The drifting fog ignored its master's words. It was the one thing that she had misread. Flat Snark was a king, even among the other ploys of terrible, vulgar antics. Death to the defeated, gruesome tragedy to the vanquished. It found no pleasure unless it brought about dramatic ruination of life and wealth. The fog billowed like wicked laughter. After all, only a king had the right to decide the fate of the vanquished, and the Snark's greed could not be contained. Thus, it hadn't even the slightest intent to play fair, despite its master's orders. Scary. Is she on top of the frickin' roller coaster? Over 100 feet high. One careful step at a time, the figure made its way gingerly up the track, which stretched into the heart of the amusement park. Shit, dude. He stayed his breath, beating chest and the pounding of his breath. Even tiny movements were an obstacle to his progress. And I would not be able to do that. I have such a frickin' huge fear of heights, dude. Never would be able to do this. What do you think is Snark's identity? I'm so bad with fairy tale stuff, so I honestly don't have a good idea. Amazingly, the one making this pale-faced advance higher and higher was Sojiro. Far below, he saw that a horde of bread creatures was congregated by the roller coaster platform. As they bustled this way and that, their numbers continued to increase by the minute, seemingly cheering on him with raised arms as he made his ascent. Or rather, they jeered as if beckoning him to come down. Of course, neither did him, but his current state was the lesser of two evils. The only thing that followed him now was the floating egg. After heaving a huge sigh, He bent forward a bit and climbed the track that inclined toward the heavens. 150 feet now. If this were a skyscraper, he would be on the 16th floor. Damn, dude. A strong gust of wind whipped through his hair. Humans had an instinctual fear of heights. In particular, a place like this, which called forth visions of falling to one's death, would cause a person's knees to tremble against their will. I would just be laying down and gripping as hard as I can, screaming for someone to help me. It was an instinct that forewarned death, urging its bastard to return to the safety of the ground. It was a reasonable reaction. Climbing the roller coaster tracks went beyond funny stories and into the realm of fantasy. The strong winds and change in air pressure were a hindrance. His instinct screamed at him to stop, causing his limbs to go numb, his muscles to go limp, and his mind to race. Even if he had been tied to a lifeline, a mere 15 feet of climbing would have still caused his thoughts to freeze out of sheer terror. And it would get worse from here, exponentially so. Every foot forward increased the load on both his mind and his body by another degree.
よし、頂上まであと少し。
The burden of his mind notwithstanding, he carefully measured the toll on his body with every step. His legs, which had carried him running this far, threatened to buckle the moment he let down his guard. This fatigue was likely why Alco had stressed his role was more dangerous than hers.
待てよ。逆を言うと、疲れてなければなんとかなると思ってたんだよな、青崎。
He laughed as he stared at the egg. He reflected on the course of events that had led to this absurd situation. Not even 10 minutes ago, they had been engaged in conversation.
じゃあ次ね。正体が分かった以上、あとはどう壊すかを話し合いましょう。
He felt a shudder travel down his spine at Alco's smug grin. In hindsight, Alco had been more than happy at this point to make him do something absurd.
どう壊すかって、それなら。
He wondered aloud. From what he'd seen, Alco had enough firepower to tear clean through the fence. He'd refrained from speculating about Flat Snark's true form because he'd felt there was nothing they could do about it, even if they knew. But that had changed. For Alco, the impossible was quite literally within her grasp.
そうでもないわ。私の目算だと、あと50メートル分、ギリギリで届かない。
Despair filled his eyes. Alco lifted a hand to her long hair and, with a magically charged fingertip, chipped a clean tuft of it.
足りない分は努力と根性ってね。
She removed some of her hair. Why? Sus.
あなたはできるだけ高いところまで逃げて。頃合いを見て合図を出すから。そうしたらこれを空に放ってくれる？
He needs to toss her hair.
はそれだけでいいから。
But based on where she pointed her gaze, she did not really mean to leave it up to Sojiro to pick up the highest place he could find. She was staring conspicuously at one of the amusement park's two main attractions, the roller coaster.
つまり、青崎とは別行動をとって、あの怪物たちに追われながら、高いところに逃げ込めと。
そういうこと。ほら、あのうねうね動き出してるコースターのレールとか。
And that is the evil smile is back, dude. Very scheming as well. Uh-oh. There were two demons in this park. Her smile made even Sojiro want to respond that it was far from perfect.
疑いたくはないんだ。
I would argue about that, to be honest. But okay.
本当はあの子とグルで俺を遠回しに殺そうとしてるん
That would be so evil if she would if this still was a part of all the plan to kill him. Like with Alco as well. Damn, dude.
あら、私に殺されるのならいいんでしょ？
人の出現を悪用するのは良くないと思う。
He hung his head. This was not sane. If he did as she said, he would die from exhaustion before Kitsy even had a chance to eat him.
私だって鬼じゃないわ。ほら、こっち向いて。おまじないかけてあげる。
Whoa. Jahando. It was the lightest of touches. Close enough for their breath and skin to come in contact. Whoa, CG moment with animation. Zaki finished with a hushed voice. For one of them, this was a rather mundane magecraft. For the other, it was a head-spinning intimate ambush.
軽く、弱く、うまく、早く。
Wow.
チクタクチクタク。急げや急げ。
Words that could not be produced by a normal larynx, carrying a particular weight to them, reverberated against his eardrums. If words were given colors, these would have been the color of her name, blue. His exhausted body and burning blood gently cooled.
飛ぶ、泳ぐ、駆け抜ける。チクタクチクタク、汽笛を鳴らせ。
Okay.
星はいつでも北の空。どこまでも、いつまでも。
In reality, it took but a few seconds, but the sudden contact had felt a little longer.
よし、暗示成功。成功したはず。ここまで手応えがあったの初めてだし。
Wow. I'm not surprised that that would be your entrance line, Andrew. As expected. Pretty in character.
アリスの小言もたまには役に立つじゃない。
A very merry Aoko stood aside a very confused Sojuro. After he asked what the heck had occurred, she responded.
簡単な暗示よ。一時的に恐怖心を消しておいたから、高いところに登っても平気なはず。
Oh, wait, you can do that? You're gonna raise fear of heights for a bit? Wow. Well, that's convenient.
あの手の作業で一番足を引っ張るのは同様でしょ。恐怖も何も感じなければ、地上何メートルだろうと平均台とそう変わらないってわけ。
Or it's just BS. He seemed to get it. It actually all sounded like Greek to him, but he accepted it as an explanation for her strange actions. Wow. Okay.
やっと着いた。
He's at the top. He'd arrived at the summit of the track. From nearly 200 feet high, he had a bird's eye view of the entire amusement park. He was able to spot Aoko's figure right away. In the plaza not so far from here, she seemed to be occupied with something conspicuous. Her surroundings lay still. The breadmen were still busy trying to figure out how to reach Sojuro by trial and error from the roller coaster's entrance. They were over 300 feet away now.
汗をかくはずだ。こんなに移動したのか。
The strong winter gales quickly dried the sweat on his brow, but he was drenched underneath his shirt. This much sweat was worth at least half a mile run, not to mention all the scares he had experienced throughout the night.
でもよかった。あとは合図を待つだけだ。
He felt a wave of relief, but not at the thought of Aoko destroying the Snark and this nightmarish park. He was simply happy that he could repay a bit of his debt to from the House of Mirrors. Whoa. A blue bullet rose from the plaza where Aoko was located.
合図だ。
Ooh, it's a flare, dude. He stood up from atop the tracks, pulled out the pouch he had stowed in his pocket, and tossed it forward. Yeet! Without any regard for his questionable footing, he gave it a mighty overarm pitch. The small pouch drew a parabolic curve in Alko's direction, quickly becoming untied in midair. Oh, the magic hair. Inside the bag was the lock of her hair, making a small stone and a small stone weight.
高いところから風に乗せてくれれば、あとは何とかするから。
Okay. She had said, but it was his effort that had set the plan in motion. The tuft of hair remained airborne, drifting as if watching over its owner. His job was done. He remained concerned about the egg hovering over him, but there was nothing he could do about it. He breathed a sigh of relief and leaned forward to watch the rest of the plan unfold, but then... In the corner of his eye, he thought he spotted something familiar approaching Alko. Okay. Hype music. Ooh. Okay.
Direct. 1層、2層、予備に3層。
It's a big frickin' magical circle. Okay.
魔力提供。体現に固定。循環よし。射角よし。術式安定。大まかよし。
Pattern began to carve itself into the brick street. The casting of an unprecedented incantation with unprecedented range. Keeping the rising tension contained within her chest, the fledgling mage snapped her fingers.
決めた。ツアープラン。スターマイン。
Tour plan Star Mine. She kneeled at the center of the formula and raised her head to the night sky. Not even a glimpse of the transmogrified fantasy land around her entered her vision now. Only one thing, one untouchable thing, was reflected in her blue eyes.
実はずっと気になっていたことが。
This is how their conversation started a few minutes prior. Okay, now we get to see how he, how they figure out the identity or whatever. Hopefully. He began with a simple statement of fact. In truth, it really was the simplest of discrepancies. Any difference between the reality of an hour ago and the illusion of the present was both infinitesimal and infinite. I don't even know. That's a hard word.
雲があったから勘違いしたんだろうけど。
It was hiding in plain sight. Too impossible to be real. Too outlandish to be there. In this amusement park, where every paradigm had shifted, something was brazenly flaunting its normalcy.
今夜は新月なんだ、青崎。
It's a full moon though, right?
思えば、初めっからその形だったものね。
The distance from the Earth to the moon was 238,900 miles. If it truly was identical to the actual moon, then this monster indeed lived up to its eerie reputation. At a distance that vast, there would have been no need to hide. It could flaunt its true form for all to see. But if it had to hide its true form, that meant it was vulnerable. The monster's camouflage implied that it sat within the reach of human hands.
こっちの最大射程はよくて600ってところだけど。
At this point, it was time to give it all she had. Drawing on the energy surging throughout the park, she extended her firing arm. She's gonna send it, dude. A blue firework launched into the air. Looking up at her hair dancing in the wind above, she reached out her right hand as if to catch the night sky. A mage's own body for the perfect catalyst. And for a female mage, the hair she had grown out over many years made for a particularly valuable and powerful source of fuel. To use it all, all she had to do was apply her will. She locked her fingers, the fingers on both her hands together and shouted,
三層展開全術式連結起動
Ooh. Ooh. She hurled forth a clear challenge to bind the moon to herself. The mist began to whirl about in a vortex. Ooh, it's me! The monster high above bore its fangs at the sight of the blue spell that appeared in midair.
見抜かれたですって
Uh-oh. By the time Alice had noticed the change, the hostility between Alco and the Snark was palpable.
そうなら青子の勝ちよ
Uh-oh.
すぐに戻りなさい
Time to withdraw, but is it too late?
確かに雨雲を消したのはヒントが上げすぎだけどそれぐらいは多めに見てスナーク
The fog continued to thicken with no sign of abating. The moon that floated in the night sky could not pardon such an insolent mage. Oh, it's going against her will. As if the Lord of the Night would bow down to such impudence. There was no staying its wrath at a challenge so flagrant. It's like, come at me, I can take it.
スナーク
Uh-oh. She sounds a bit flustered now that she realizes it's not working out. The robin swooped in to give its report, but Alice waved it away. Her gaze was fixed on the transforming golden moon. Her calls of restraint did not reach it. This fairy tale monster was beholden to nobody, and it would have no qualms unleashing its vast might upon its beauty prey. The core of her magic bullet howled. The magic circuits within her body spun. She fed them magical energy, scorching her nerves with imaginary flame. She was linked to the formula inscribed on the ground. The spell was read and executed the same as it always was, but its output was beyond reckoning. With this much firepower, even this mundane process would invite injury upon its caster. It was enough to burn up the nerves that were acting as the barrel. Shit, dude.
いける
The imaginary heat had reached a terrifying temperature. Alco trembled at this endless feeling but would have to grin and bear it lest their efforts come to naught. She could no longer move. When she had learned the Snark's true form from Sojuro, she gave up on any superiority a movable turret offered instead of opting to become a stationary cannon. That was the only way she could reach it. It was impossible to hunt the Snark unless she anchored her crest at this location and angle. At the same time, this action revealed that she was out of options. Once the fuse was lit, she would have no choice but to fight to the bitter end. She took a deep breath. This was the way she wanted it. Her preparations were complete. She would be able to deliver this maelstrom of magical energy directly to the moon, like a rocket payload. The third mid-air layer served as the cannon's muzzle and sight. It would fire the magical energy once it reached criticality and allowed her to adjust the angle of fire. The moon became warped within her scope. Oh, it's trying to protect itself or something? As Alka charged her energy, the ploy displayed its golden form as if to mock her. Come, worship the heavens, powerless scion of an innocent bloodline. For there it was, a point among the otherworldly sky. A mystical visage, obfuscated by jade mists and azure clouds. Called the greatest treasure known to the world of magecraft, a rarity more valuable than an entire kingdom. Crown Phantasm. Whoa. Oh yeah, it's like a skull that's upside down. The moon being in one of the eye sockets. That's kind of scary. Like, you can see it right there. Wow, dude. Ooh. Set apart from the first, the world's greatest fabrication. Her instinct screamed at her to delay no further. This fairy tale monster was the greatest of its kind, and it was about to expose its true form. Its open hostility made it clear that it was ready to counterattack. She had to shoot it down first. Magical energy was at 80%. The formula was operating normally. All that was left was to pull the trigger. But the calm voice inside her head asked if that was really okay. She had one shot at this, and there was no going back. It was a battle of precision with no room for miscalculations. Even a tenth of a second of hesitation would tip the scales. Was she ready for the pain? Was she ready to deal with the fallout if she missed? Could she really even take down the moon with such a tiny bullet in the first place? Okay. Classic, of course. Her eyes fixed upon the moon were filled with determination. She knew that the moment she fired, the intense recoil would overwhelm her entire body. Still, she shouted,
Hope everyone has a great day, Myst.
Hey, Zayu, thank you for the 14 months and a big welcome back to the Gao Gang. I mean, my day is so far pretty good. Hopefully yours is too. Thank you so much. Alright, let's see what's gonna happen. With every ounce of spirit she possessed, she fired her ultra long-range projectile into the sky. Whoa, side shot. Oh, it's going. The third layer embraced the magic bullet fired from the surface of the earth. The crest and extension of herself unleashed light to pierce the moon. However, oh shit, that's a big ass rock. An enormous blue canopy pulverized the beam. It returned to ether, the 3,000 degree flame, to nothing as it came in contact with the bullet. The recoil of the Grand Magecraft literally boiled her blood. Her body couldn't handle it. Her heart stopped. Her brain went numb from the pain and impact. Her nerves putrefied from end to end. But her magic crest revived them all by force. Even though her vision had gone white, she could still see it. Swallowing the blood in her mouth, she looked up with a scowl. There it was, an enormous shield of ice and a sneering, deformed skull. Okay. There was no time to think or hesitate. The magical energy throughout the park began to shatter. She knelt across the tyrannical face of the moon. She intuited that the ice had yet to fully form. Flat Snark still hadn't reached its full strength, which was exactly why. By accelerating the spell, she damaged her own body. The burden of linking the formula to the snark caused intense pain. All she could do was grit her teeth and endure it. All because... Yeah. She had gotten a read on her relative strengths. Even if its volume of magical energy was identical, Snark's form, its mystic scale, was in a different league. She could charge her energy to the absolute limit, and that would barely make a dent in the ice wall. Meanwhile, there was nothing she could do to prevent her own annihilation if the Snark gathered as much energy as it could. She loaded her next shot. She issued orders to the floating third layer. Ignoring the toll on her body, she began to accelerate the first layer formula. The role of her right hand's single layer was to absorb and store surrounding magical energy. The thick fog that drifted through the park was an ancient ether spewed out by Flatstark's own body, but Alka could pour it into her formula. Her body, which had integrated with the formula, took on an amount of magical energy that had far surpassed its maximum capacity. It seethed in agony, or rather it trembled in delight. For a mage, magical energy was a propellant to reach the realm of mystics, the expansion of internal time, the liquefaction of the self, the release from the physical. They were all what one might call a near-death experience. On the precipice of what lay beyond, she stood firm and faced reality. Oh, the ice. Still, reality had come to break her will. The gap between them was plain to any observer. The gun barrel named Aoko Aozaki had not a chance to chip away at that lump of ice. She accelerated the spell further. The skull grinned. That ice was no shield. It was a hammer to crush mages who did not know their place. The moon laughed as it prepared to crush not just Aoko, but the boy atop the roller coaster, as well as the park in its entirety. Oh. She's like, so? Her circuits were on the verge of going critical. Her body had been charged with a scorching power supply from her fingertips to her eyeballs. She would see the bullet fired. She would arrange the Magecraft formula as quickly as her nerves' transmission speed would allow. A single attack was not enough. There was no way to shoot it from its flank, which meant there was only one solution. Oh. Okay. The third layer began to transform. It switched from direct to alternating current. Insert your Tesla Edison memes. The spell's supposed strong point was its ability to adjust its trajectory mid-flight, but right now all she wanted was numbers. An octogram? That's a lot of points, man. Okay, there it goes. Whoa. She divided the beam, I guess? A blue sun shined down the amusement park. Beams of light at maximum output streaked forth to pierce the golden moon. Ooh. But what about the ice? Okay. They're kind of scratching it. Holding down the trigger, she continued to fire, taking in energy ad infinitum. Blue flame shot forth at critical level, but the ice would neither melt nor mar. No amount of sheer heat could make a dent in something formed from such a colossal amount of magical energy. The toll on her circuit sent them berserk, and blood began to run free. Peace. Oh. Damn. Still no, huh? The battle had become a tussle over the magical energy that filled the park. From the very beginning, this had been the Snark's home turf. The Snark had control over at least 80% of the space, while Alco had 20 at best. She's locked in, dude, literally. The castle of ice descended as if to call the match. All she could do was delay the inevitable. She knew that she had been backed into a wall, and right now, the only thing she could do was to keep blasting. Then again, perhaps not. There was another option. If she converted all of her magical energy into a defense, there was a tiny chance, no, not tiny, a great possibility in fact that she could save just her. Clinging to that broken hope, she continued to rotate her circuits. Time seemed to stop at the magical energy overdose. A second of intense pain lasted an eternity. Then, amidst everything, something approached one step at a time. Oh, it's like a red cape, okay. Okay, I'm gonna sneeze. Hello. Okay. Something from among the park's shadows. Something. Whoa. Is it behind her? Uh-oh. She felt goosebumps from head to toe. The issue was no longer the ice overhead. In the midst of the stillness, the Red Death drew closer, step by ominous step. Okay. Her circuits and her mind began to rupture out of terror. The composition of her formula and soul began to rip apart. There it was, just behind her. Its footsteps came to a halt. It reached around and cupped her face in its blood-stained hands. Shit, dude. She wanted to scream out with all her might. This is it. Nothing matters. I couldn't care less. Run or don't run, it doesn't matter. Quit hiding and reveal yourself. Use whatever you can and show no mercy. That was it. She had one final card to play. Once a miracle had been gifted to her, almost as a joke. It made the ice look like child's play. That was what the Red Death had come to kill. Using it would spell ruin. Not using it would mean death by ice. Then why hesitate? Where there were no conditions on its use. There was no price to pay for its power. She simply would cease to be herself. That was all. Humans love to exist in areas of gray. Dozens of electrical impulses disconnect in the brain every minute. Nothing lasts forever, not even one's self. It was not anything particularly worthy of disdain. It was not even anything remarkably worth of being called taboo. What escaped her lips now was rage, bewilderment from the red silhouette. The girl let out an inaudible scream. Could true magic truly be her savior? What an opportunistic load of bull. Oh, terms, oh. After all, to begin with. Well, at least she's honest. Indeed, she was still in the dark when it came to that magic, whatever it was. Damn, he's enjoying the show. She woke up from her momentary hallucination, the very illusion her breaking soul had shown her. Whining her head had the opposite effect on her. Her pride was now ablaze. He was right. Her opponent had put her in check, but she had done the same to it. It was clear why she was losing, so now all she had to do was a counter plan, well within her abilities. No matter the odds, she was not the one to give up without giving it one last shot. Her numbed fingers clenched into a tight fist. She was betting against the house, an unreasonable gamble that should have made her question her sanity. If her first step was off by an inch, her body would be instantly vaporized. But she knew a boy who never fled. She knew of a steadfast courage that could shine its light, no matter how small, through any desperate situation. Yes, there was more than just herself to be concerned about. No, it's good food, it makes sense, he needed that. If that ice fell, it would mean the destruction of the park in its entirety. Everything he had achieved, everything he had risked and dared and happily put his life on the line for, would be all for naught. Determination and confidence surged through her like electricity. She was in no mood to be crushed by a giant sheet of ice. If she was going to lose, she'd rather do so as the grandest firework possible. She was a sore loser. At this point, she would rather burn herself to cinders than let it decide her end. She grunted in pain. Energy raged through her body. Her circuits were on the verge of disintegration. Inscribed upon her body, her crest was magecraft given physical form. It did not, however, stop with simply skin and flesh. It burrowed to the very marrow of her bones. Hey, Kararin. A playful smile graced her lips. Her sense of reason had been turned upside down by the pain. That was only natural. She had to praise her own body for holding out so long while pushed beyond its limits. The skull face noticed the abnormality. Uh-oh. It finally recognized the challenge for dominance over this space. It laughed at the conceit it faced. Never did it expect a magician to challenge the great Flat Snark, lord of vessels over a millennium, and in such an age of decline. I hope he recovers well, Kuran. She tried to catch her breath. She braced herself for the coming pain. She was going to smash that ice to pieces. Both had access to the same amount of energy. One of them was greatly outmatched, but... Just go bigger, bro. Increase the caliber. The feedback would go beyond anything she had experienced to date. Quite simply, her decision went beyond recklessness. She expanded both formulae to maximum size. Well, this looks familiar. The first layer would transform into a giant vortex, swallowing up the mist. The second layer would process it from one end and pump it into her, the barrel.
ち落とすなんて半端もいいとこ。この場合跡形もなく打ち砕くった。
Primeval power answered the spellcaster's conviction. It formed the pattern of a writhing serpent. Voiceless magical power flew a banner of revolution. Now look upon the earth, O venerable one. See now this pioneer, this first among trailblazers. She embodies a species that knows no fear, that renders not all manner of mystic and tradition.
貸し借りはここまでよ、嘘つきブーチャム。お望み通り度しをつけて返してあげる。
For the newest magician commands the principles of consumption and extinction. Ooh! Damn, it's pushing it back! An aberrant bullet of light melted through the castle of ice. The barrel held fast. Her control of magical energy was divine. 100,000 miles of veins equal to 2.5 times the circumference of the earth hungrily drank in the magical energy. The subsequent magical strike hurtled straight up at the moon. No, 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 no! Death rose from the moon's surface. A cry of indignant terror echoed through the abandoned park. Reality was burned into the eyes of this creature of fantasy. To Aoko, its vain struggle was the taste of victory. Victory despite her absolute reckless use of magical energy. The energy scales had been tipped to their breaking point, but nevertheless in her favor.
ブラックライトスターボ一気にぶち抜けー。
Whoa. Shit, dude. Shatter, 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 shatter. The skyscraper scattered into atomized dust. The island, its unattainability extolled, had swallowed whole the despair of its many challengers. Long had it proudly eluded mankind's intellect. We ain't monkeys anymore, baby. Yet now Azure Myst bemoaned its demise. In the sky, the icy canopy crumbled. The snark-hunting bullet jumped over the moon. Its throes of death sounded like the roaring sea, reverberating across this fairy tale land. Well, that's a hit and a half. Woo! The battle was over. The thick fog dissipated and the shattered ice melted away before it hit the ground. A lethal bullet unseated the Night King from his throne, affording him no time to grieve his loss. The oil of the moon, the untouched, let snark. The dreamscape that had begun with its resurrection ended with its demise, drawing a close to the nightmare. Damn, dude. Damn, son. Now that is a blast right there. God damn, dude.
さすがに無茶だ。
Flat on her back, Alko looked up at the night sky. She lay there perfectly still, not able to move a single finger. When she tried, her whole body screamed out in agony. She was completely empty of magical energy, and her crest had come to a halt. She estimated that it would likely require a whole day to recover all her bodily functions. Sadly, all she could really do in that moment was take a breath. At least her chest was swelling with pride. She had gone toe-to-toe with a fairy tale monster that had emerged victorious. The battlefield conditions had favored her, it was true, but there was no denying that she had come a long way in the last 6 months.
それはそれとしてアリスには謝っとかないと。プロイって壊したらそれっきりだものね。
Damn, one of her toys is gone, dude. Platsnark would never again return to this world. It was an insanely rare item, so invaluable that it would have been impossible to price it for an auction at the association in London. Ooh. Alco had sent Alice's priceless treasure to oblivion. Needless to say, things had gotten more than a little out of hand.
まあ、でも。
They had both agreed to the fight, so Alice probably would not complain. Even if she was furious, she would never be so undignified as to show it. The second she relaxed, her fatigue finally caught up with her. She did everything in her power to fight off the overwhelming drowsiness. Aside from a few minor internal injuries, her body was miraculously unscathed. She felt like she could probably stand up and dust herself off after a bit of rest. The golden moon continued to burn in the night sky.
正体は油だものね。そりゃいつまでも燃え。
Damn, it's dripping, dude. Her bleary eyes went wide in astonishment. She was still unable to lift a finger.
スナークを見つけたベイカーも最後は一緒に消えるんだっけ。
Well, that doesn't bode well for her, if the story is accurate in parallel. Ooh. Uh-oh. Wait a minute, this looks familiar too. Okay. She sighed in resignation. Alco accepted that her final stand left her with only 10 seconds before she burned to ash too. Yeah, that looks definitely super familiar. Elsewhere, just a short moment prior, buffeted by the strong winds atop the roller coaster, Sojiro gravely peered down at the ground.
Mumu?
All he could muster was a single murmur. He could see Alco on top of some drawing on the ground, and...
なんだあれ。いくらなんでも頑丈すぎないか。
Clueless. In the distance, there was something familiar in the direction of the ruined House of Mirrors. His job, to throw Alco's hair from a great height, was complete. While not the most impressive of tasks, it was absolutely a matter of life and death. And to top it all off, just thinking about how he was going to get back down to the ground was making him dizzy. He had experienced more than enough trouble for one day.
いや、でもあれ。
Okay. He was flustered as he stood atop the swaying bridge. Oh, is this like what happened from his POV, the previous part? A skull suddenly appeared in the sky above. Yeah, I assume it is. On the ground, he could see a circling blue light with Alco in the middle of it. And one more thing. From an angle that only he could see, a shadow stalked Alco while she challenged the moon. It was shaped like a person missing the lower half of its body. Oh, well. Hello. The disembodied torso slowly clawed its way toward her. They were still over 600 feet apart. It actually survived? That's crazy, dude. That's actually crazy. Unfortunately for Alco, she completely failed to notice it by approaching from behind.
遠くて見えないけど、これは。
He was sure of what it was now. There was only one thing in the park that would chase Alco and not him, the puppet.
いや、でも、ほら、あるいはひょっとしてただの偶然ではないだろうか。
His mind ran in circles. It was a perfectly reasonable reaction. Any grip on reality he might have had was long lost when Alco started firing beams of light at the monstrous moon. Her merciless fire buffeted the roller coaster like a storm. Just standing on it was almost enough for him to be thrown off and killed. At any rate, he couldn't fathom the situation. Should he head back to the entrance of the roller coaster and warn Oko about the incoming threats? No, there was no way he could make it in time, and to make matters worse, there was a hoard of bread down there waiting for him. Like, take this line out of context if you don't know what's happening. Oh no, a hoard of bread? How? Oh no. And it may very well have been the case that Alco was already aware of the puppet that would take it out and would take it out as soon as it got closer. If she was, he was sure he would only be in the way. And pretty colors though. It did not seem like there was anything he could do to help. And beyond that, Alco was not the only one in danger. He was in quite the predicament himself. You can't go home again. The road home was never as safe as one thought. It was as true as here as it had been in the mountains. The path he was on was no exception. As risky as the ascent had been, he was even more dangerous to go back down. This was no time to be worrying about others. His shaking legs reminded him that only 200 feet separated him from death. His head was pounding. This was reckless and stupid. Having been raised in the mountains, he was more sensitive to danger than anyone raised in the city, and just thinking about what he was about to do made his throat seize up. There was only one thing he could say for sure. Whoa, new music. Okay. With a sobbing shout, he started making his way down the 200-foot frame of the roller coaster. His race toward death accelerated. He never meant to speed up, but the downward slope propelled him forward. It was too late for regrets. Now that he was running, he had no choice but to go even faster. And time was not on his side. He would never make it in time if he took the long way down. Never mind the breadmen crowding the exit of the roller coaster. With the exits blocked, the outcome would be the same whether he went down slowly or quickly. There was no reason to rush to his death as desperately as he did. So what if it was futile? He cleared the doubts from his mind. He's turned his attention to what he could do, keeping his footing and tried to arrive at the bottom as quickly as he could. He had no idea what impulses were driving his stiff limbs. He just focused on the moment, pushing past the fear and the cold logic. At his core, he was the kind of person to deal with problems head on. There would be time to think about the consequences later. Uh-oh. But hesitation was not his only obstacle. The worst possible hindrance appeared at a time when not focusing on the track would mean certain death. Uh-oh. He sensed something wrong with the egg he had been so studiously observing out of one eye. Something had changed, and at the very moment he realized it, he stumbled, then instinctively caught himself. It was a miracle he had not fallen. Descending a roller coaster on foot was an act of suicide. The egg stayed right by his side, so closely it would collide with him. Though he was trying not to look at it, he could not help but feel uneasy that the door-like decoration in its center was gradually opening. He cursed his rotten situation, and yet he refused to slow down. He ran even faster, glaring at the egg on his side.
なんで
He was baffled to find that he was smiling. Perhaps it had something to do with Alko's charm. He could not tell one way or the other. He could still feel Alko's fingers on his skin. The trust and expectation she had placed in him was etched into his heart. But what spurred him on was something entirely different. This all stemmed from a much deeper problem. It was something inside him that he could not understand at the time, but would eventually come to terms with one day.
距離は今なら2メートル弱
He carefully judged the distance as he ran down the track of death. But the distance between what? That went without saying. It was the distance between himself and the one thing that could save his life. He told himself he was gonna do it over and over, like a mantra. He could not believe himself. What he was about to do was incredibly stupid. But what is stupid when smart is not an option?
本当なんでそこまでやるんだ
Amidst it all, he laughed at how pointless such self-reflection was now. Temporary confusion, a psychological thrill ride, both had laid his soul bare. What really mattered in life? The answer to that question was simple. His primitive values did not crave success or reward. All he wanted was
よし
to live the way he wanted. It wasn't an obligation to the people around him. His desire to live his way was his and his alone.
行こ
If the egg had been equipped with a vocal function, it would have gasped in shock at what happened next. The boy who had only tried to escape up until this point suddenly shifted his weight. He pointed his feet outward instead of inward. Is he jumping? On the edge of one rail, he crouched ever so slightly to maintain momentum and gazed at the floating egg.
うやれる距離的
He's
に
gonna jump on the egg? Bruh. He soared through the night sky. It was a flight that lasted a mere 1.5 seconds. A cordless bungee jump from 100 feet above ground. His destination? The only thing that would stop his fall. The giant flying egg. Shit, dude. He grabs the egg. He shrieked, this time out of elation, as he desperately clung to the egg's surface. Just earlier, the cold-blooded witch had told him that without fear, the top of a building would feel no different than a balance beam. This from the same witch would have been left speechless had she witnessed this spectacle. It was one thing to be fearless and another to be reckless. What the boy did next would give her a headache in the days to come.
頼むぞ頼む
Tamago. Clinging to the egg, he shifted his gaze away from it. He felt the rapid descent. He, focusing his half-shut eyes on the ground, leaped off the egg once they were a few feet from the ground, then turned back to it carefully to re-establish eye contact. Something so unbelievable, thought to himself. Although to himself, the elevator at the department store and the mysterious floating egg were both just moving objects, virtually indistinguishable from one another. Wow, what a guy.
よし割れてない食べ物を粗末にするのは良くないと思う
Damn, don't waste food, keep the egg, still going. Oh, the beams! He landed near the plaza. The shortcut that almost cost him his life had paid off. He took off running the second his feet touched the ground. The puppet after Alko was the only thing on his mind. He paid no mind to the moonlight in the sky. Oh, nor to the egg, which was furious about being used and seconds away from self-destructing and blasting fragments all over the place.
青崎
Alko's dumbfounded expression spurred him on. Oh, the egg! The curse was complete. The empty egg began to sing its warning to let them know there was no escape. Fuck, dude. That's a lot of shrapnel. Ooh! Shrapnel from the egg exploded through the air. The ode to Queen Alice that Alice had engraved into Dumpty quickly robbed him of his senses.
それはそれとして
He snapped back to the task at hand and ran to Alco, still lying on the ground. His leg moved as if they had a mind of their own. Though he couldn't have stopped them anyway, since he could no longer feel them.
お前驚くほどしつこいぞ
Oh shit, the other barrage is coming. Oof. Ooh. Oh, the puppet eats it. Ooh. That was some bodyguard shit, dude. Holy. There's a lot of skewers. The scrambled murder case. Piles of rubble became flowers of light, blooming from the earth. Whoa. Damn, he got pierced, dude. The final curtain drew closed, and the defeated left the battleground. Look at that CG, though. Get down! Damn. She would have died with the puppet had my guy not come in. Had Alice Kuonji seen it happen, she would have been beside herself. The two had escaped by a hair's breadth. Where's his hand? Don't worry about it, dude. The only person in a position to witness that rare mutual destruction was the girl who had been saved from it. The boy who had never stopped running paid it no mind. Damn. The safety of the girl in his arms meant infinitely more to him than the miraculous way in which he saved her. Damn, priorities, yeah. Ooh. Is it Jover? That was a doozy, dude. The moon did not wait for dawn to set. The ornamental texture of the fairy tale kingdom faded away. All of the illusions returned to the way they were before. From the instantaneous chords reverberating through the streets to the puppets welcoming their guests. Oh, the power is going out. Peace and quiet reigned once more over a forgotten kingdom, never to be awakened again. Out flickered the embers of a late-night dream, even the electric lamps that illuminated the park. Together they watched it disappear. He lay on the ground, desperately grasping for air like a fish out of water. The curse of the exploding egg had numbed his pain, and he was understandably exhausted after all he had experienced. It looked like he could be blown away by the lightest of breezes. While Aoko was also exhausted, she was still in better shape. Focused on taking deep, even breaths, she was already working to recover her strength.
あのさ、
She addressed Sojiro indifferently as her gaze remained on the amusement park. The abruptness of it was a bit theatrical in nature. She wanted to look at him as she spoke, but her pride was simply too great.
あなた、なんかすごいことしなかった？
Dude, it's the title music as well. The moment she had accepted death had seemed like an eternity. She was beside herself in shock at how indifferent she had been as the shards rained down from the moon. But a reassuring voice had snapped her back into reality. Why did he do it? What was he thinking? What moronic things had he done to pull it off? She had no answers for these questions, lying on the ground as she was. All she knew was that he had more than made up for his failure in the House of Mirrors and then some in those fateful final moments. She addressed him, hoping to find answers, but found herself unable to probe any further. To dig any deeper would feel like defeat, which is why it was so unlike her to ask him in the first place. Lucky for her, Sojiro had neither the capacity nor sensitivity to understand her how egocentric she was being.
すごいって、それは青崎の方だろ。
He stuttered between labored breaths. It was taking him so much effort just to breathe that he could not address her properly. I'm gonna sneeze again. Ooh, it's coming. Maybe not. Oh, it's so close. Blue balls. Wow, I can't believe that didn't happen. That was crazy. You can only imagine, but yeah, shit, dude. Okay, anyway. She watched him out of the corner of her eye. I bet the next one is going to be huge, though. Thinking back on it, the boy had performed the same role each time. Each and every time he did what he could in spite of his fecklessness. It was far more admirable than her nearly suicidal tactics, even if she did defeat her opponent. He did not even recognize how extraordinary his last act of courage was.
提案。あいつをやっつけるのに協力したら、俺のことは見逃してくれる？
At the very least, he had the courage to keep trying whatever he could. A spectator might have viewed him as a supporting actor. His actions were not exactly memorable. Are you kidding me? Jumping on that egg and doing that? I would say that's very memorable, but okay, sure. But the lead actress he supported did not see it that way.
まあね、認めたくないし、口になんてもっとしたくないけど。
Oh, we're about to have a dead end moment, maybe. Such inspired actions were wasted in a supporting role. This guy really pulled off the impossible. It was so amazing that she wanted to shout it as loud as she possibly could for all the world to hear.
青崎？
ほんと、人畜無害もどうすぎると侮れないわ。
Dude, that Tsun is too strong though. All she could do was sigh. Ooh. That's a smile though. Damn, look at that. Wow. How could she not? Even she was forced to admit that the way he'd snatched her from the jaws of death was dashing.
ま、評価甘めだけど。
Truth be told, he was a lunatic for doing what he did. She steadied her breathing and composed herself. While she was in a bad shape, she still had her pride as a mage to consider. There's a small blush, yeah. That's why she felt a need to maintain an air of dignity.
しずきくん、見逃すのは今日だけって話だったけど。
Oh, he got the full pass instead of just a, extension. Oh.
とりあえず、命は助けてあげ
I mean, what about Alice, though? That's still a problem. We need to talk. She hastily extended her right hand. It was either to shake his or to help him out. However, he did not take her hand, but instead stood up on his own. He's like, yeah, I'm just shake it off, dude. Like what? Wow. Just dust your shoulders. Yeah. Normal day at the office. This night, despite the sheer insanity that he had just experienced, his face had not once looked as incredulous as it did now.
何そのリアクションは。
She stammered, worried that she had deeply embarrassed herself. His gaze was fixed upon her. A problem had dawned on her. Though she normally hated being stared at, this time she did not mind. I mean, her face is kinda mixed though. Rather, she was enjoying the warmth in his eyes and felt like it was something she could almost come to appreciate. Don't you get it? This isn't just about friendship, and I didn't mean he only likes you either. Believe me when I say that Sonoji really. Ooh. Okay. The conversation came rushing back. It was a memory better left forgotten.
いかん、それは違う。
Pushing Tobimaru's words out of her mind, she turned to Sojuro.
それとこれは別だから。私はあんたのこととかほんとどうでもいいんだから。
Damn, maximum tsundo, okay? No dere to be seen. Puzzled, Sojuro tilted his head.
さっき嫌いだって言われたけど。
He's like, yeah, but I already knew this. Why are you saying it again? He responded matter-of-factly to her sudden declaration. She certainly had pointed that out, and to his face no less. It had a mere figure of speech that he was not meant to take it literally, but now was not the time to belabor the point.
そうじゃなくて、あなたが私に惚れてても期待しないでって言ってるの。
Well, yet belabor she did anyway. She blushed slightly, realizing how inane she was being. She wondered how she'd ended up in this position. And yet she knew that she had to get this off her chest. All that was left was to politely wait for his response. I can't date you. Such heartbreakingly painful words were too much for the simple boy to hear. His shoulders slumped as if the world was coming to an end. Or so she had imagined. On the contrary, he was sitting there in deep thought.
俺が青崎に惚れてるって？
Oh, he murmured the words as if they were a magic spell. She shot right back with the affirmative. After a moment of deep contemplation, the boy turned to the expectant girl and said,
なんで？
Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Bro. My guy. This was the perfect time, dude. And you're still that freaking dim. Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. Okay. He had to be joking, but he was not. Yeah, this is a nice reaction. Wow. He was completely serious. He liked her, but he didn't like her. Wow. High standards here. That is very amusing. Of course, the vice president had jumped to conclusions. This boy had no interest in romance. He probably didn't even know what that was.
Our bro was clearly letting us take her instead, KKW.
I mean, he's doing something all right. She was incredibly embarrassed by how confused he still appeared to be. Dude, look at her sprite. He's like shaking, dude, and looking away. It's like, it's subtle, but you can see he's like shaking. Wow, that's funny. Her rosy complexion spread throughout her entire body.
もう一度聞くけど、なんで？
Wow.
そりゃこっちが聞きたいのよ。
Now there's some actual damage though.
飛び丸の大バカ野郎！
Just like that, she had lost her cool and given in to an unjustifiable outburst. It was time to seal off the area and destroy all evidence. Her embarrassment devolved into sheer panic, and her grudge against Tobimaru suddenly manifested as criminal assault. She lashed out with a punch that could have taken down a bird mid-flight. More specifically, it was a brutal right hook. She blinked. Her blow had connected with something solid, snapping her out of her reverie. Her temper had lashed out at the completely defenseless Sojiro's Adis. What? It had been a splendid blow with all her weight behind it, knocking him out cold. Damn, that's how he goes down after all that. Good night. He groaned, crumpling to the ground. Her punch finished the job that the curse had started. If not for the discomfort on his face, he appeared almost to be sleeping. Aoko convinced herself that he was napping, not concussed.
いっか。予定通りになったものね。
The tension in her shoulders erased away as she looked down at him. A ton had gotten in her way over the course of today, but the day was saved for now. With nobody left to butt heads, she felt exhaustion finally overtake her.
うわ。歩いて帰れるかな、私。
Her fatigue was enough to make her complain out loud. When she thought about it, she realized that this was the first time she had used up all her magical energy and the first time she had participated in a battle of this scale without any prior preparation. Though, in truth,
私一人じゃどっちも相打ちだったっけ?
True. She felt somewhat proud as she whispered those words. Normally it was something that she would beat herself up over, but instead she simply shrugged her shoulders with a bitter smile. After all, it was thanks to the person sleeping by her side.
ね、聞こえてないわよね。
As if the night had swallowed her voice before it reached him, she received no response. Confident, she continued in an even quieter voice.
その、ありがとう。十分に助けてもらったわ。
Wow. A bit of Dere side, okay. Of course, there was no response from him, and she was not expecting one. Saying it for the record was enough. The smile. She watched Soujiro sleep for a while and then pulled something out of her pocket. Oh, there you go. Oh, is he gonna use it? It was the palm-sized glass bottle her roommate had given her, which she opened with a pop.
でも、それと
Is she gonna wipe the memories? Leaving behind words colder than a winter chill at night, she called out his name. Damn, that's cool though. She barely sensed the bottle moving. As the silhouette of the fallen boy appeared to blur, she got the feeling that the weight of the bottle had increased slightly.
うわ、どうなってんだろうこれ。
Nice purple. What appeared to be a human form could clearly be seen inside the glass. Alice Kuonji's tools were mystics that confounded even the most knowledgeable of mages. As soon as Aoko tried to analyze them with logic or reason, she was already out of her depth. Knowing this all too well, she closed the bottle and watched the boy disappear as if by some magic trick.
まったく。
I mean, she definitely has tsundere elements already, Water, but, you know, I do think Rin has more to that side, though, for sure. She muttered as she looked into the magical bottle. Its weight had not changed significantly, and she had no idea how it worked. But the one thing she did know was that there was a human being inside of it. Its light weight was almost unnerving, closer to empty air than a human being. It was about as heavy as one would expect it is if they bottled a summer breeze. Yeah, dude, that was absolutely tsundere stuff right there, Watermelon. She was like completely like denying everything, even though she clearly kind of likes him. So yeah, I mean, again, it's not as big, you know, blatant as Rin might be in times, but she definitely has a lot of tsundere moments, for sure. Yeah, I guess that's true, Char. I read most of the Stay Night visual novel stuff, so yeah. True. Though that did fit her image of Soujiro perfectly.
アリスの言う通り。
She muttered to what in particular as she recalled the past.
ほんと私らしくない。
She wore a bittersweet smile. Her usual moodiness was gone. It was a dangerous world out there. It was good to have someone to keep her on her toes. With a wry chuckle, she flicked the magical bottle with her finger and set off walking. Damn, my guy got bottled, dude. Whoo. Do the lights dim? Yeah, they do. She could hear a bell in the distance signaling the end of the play. An ephemeral dream gave way to reality. In the grand scheme of things, it had been but an instant. Okay, sure, dude. This felt like a movie. And yeah, this is not even over, but it's, yeah, this chapter was pretty nuts. As the actors exited stage left, the last of the lights silently flickered out. I'm guessing this is where the movie will end. Like, you know, the first movie, right? And so the long dead amusement park played its final role as a memory for a boy and a girl. I mean, it has to. I mean, I don't know what happens after this, but that feels like too perfect to end, you know, a thing on. Wow, chapter 5, part 2, scenarios all read. Next chapter will be called Like a Dog. Sounds interesting. Holy dude. Oh my god, what a doozy. Yeah, chapter 5's both parts, but even more so the second part. Holy dude. that was a lot of stuff, dude. Ooh, okay. Is there anything new on the archive? No. These are the both halves of the of chapter 5, right? There's nothing new, yeah. Okay. Whew, honestly, I don't know. I feel like I might wrap up here today, honestly. Because, you know, it's like a perfect checkpoint for today, I think. Even if it's a little early of a usual stream time. Like, that was just good. You can watch the trailer now if you didn't. Like, for the movie? Is that what you're saying? Okay, sure. I'm not sure if I've seen it. Does anyone have a link? I'll watch it. We can do that still. Sure. Okay, sure. I'll exit the game meanwhile. That was good though. Very good. Very, very good. I can still click your link though, even if it got nuked. I can copy it. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Let's go here actually. Let's go to this overlay. It's easier. Okay. Okay, here we go. It's like 90 seconds long or something. Okay. Is there subtitles? Probably not. Okay, no. Damn, it's the manor, right? Yeah, definitely. That's the long hallway. Oh, it's the start of the... It's the start where the phone rings, right? Like the start of the actual game story, you know? Oh, dude, it's her. Yeah, she's called to school to, you know, deal with ya boy. Damn, look at those backgrounds, though. Holy, yeah. The red umbrella and everything, yeah. I assume there won't be really too much for voice acting. Probably just, you know, vague shots of stuffs. There they go, yeah. Oh, do we see some action? Okay. Yo, this is a mirror house. Yo. Oh, there's the... And then she releases it. Yeah, I mean, this is literally what I just played, yeah. Okay. Dude, yo, that's kind of hype. Yo, that's hype though, dude. Okay, yeah, because that is so, I can relate to that so much right now because I just played that stuff. Yo, that was good. Very vague, of course, but because, you know, they don't want to show too much stuff, but yeah, cool. I mean, yeah, the first movie has to end there, right? With the chapter 5 part 2. That would be a perfect stopping point. They can establish a lot of characters and then have that big thing at the amusement park. Take like maybe even half of the movie or something. For sure. Just wow. Very cool. Oh, all right. Oh yeah, sub Saturday, right? Can't forget about that. Even if we might be ending a little early here. Dude, I was supposed to Google Forms, but I Googled Google Maps. My brain is so rotten. Okay, let's try this. Grab my form and also the random.org. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Got 37 responses. I think 1 dupe. Yes, indeed. Pretty many this week, actually. 36. Alright, so again, the guaranteed game for tomorrow will be Lethal Company. It might be the last game tomorrow, potentially. We'll see. So again, the order is like whatever I kind of decide. But yeah, I was thinking maybe it will be the last game. But anyway, 29. Maybe submitted during the stream. I have no idea how many people did. Okay, let's see. This comes in from Criblo. And the game is... Oh, shit. Oh, well, I knew it was going to be in there somewhere. Okay. Wuthering Waves, huh? Okay. I mean, you knew it was going to happen at some point. You knew it was going to happen. Okay. Interesting. Well, I guess it will be played. What is that? It's the latest and craziest gacha game that everyone's playing, of course. What else would it be? We'll pick one more just in case, but tomorrow might just be Lethal Company and Wuthering Waves. We'll see. But just in case, we'll pick like a third option. 21. 21. What's 10 plus 9? 21. Old memes. Okay, this is from Bazab, and the game is Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Okay, well, there's your backup. Cool. But chances are it might just be Lethal and Wuthering Waves tomorrow. We'll see. Very cool, though. Alright, there you go. Wow. Honestly, this week so far has been very good. I'm very pleased with today, yesterday, and Wednesday streams. Very good stuff. A lot of fun stuff. Good vibes and all that, right? Ooh. So yeah, fuck dude. Just gonna wrap up and maybe grab some dinner next. Damn, yeah, that was a cool thing with the Mahoyoru thing though. Very cool. Cool chapters. Can't wait to see. I'm probably gonna continue next week actually. Yeah, unless next week is my voice, goddamn. Unless next week suddenly comes super busy, I'm probably gonna keep trying to put Mahoyoru into every week because, you know, again, I do want to beat it, of course. So maybe expect more next week again. Cool. Especially now that Star Rail might get a break week since I, you know, caught up with that story as well this week. Okay. But yeah, for today though, thank you for all the subs, the resubs, the gifted subs, the bits, the tips, the follows, and of course, thank you so much for being here in the first place. Very cool of you guys. Even though these streams probably won't be that big because, you know, it's very spoiler heavy content, so a lot of people won't be watching these kinds of streams. But hey, shout out to all of you guys that actually watch this anyway. Very, very cool of you guys. Also, check out the buff breakdown video on YouTube if you missed it, because they did do 2 new buffs on JP today. I covered it before the stream, so that video is up. And I'll probably post something tomorrow as well. Daily content, at least for now. Yay. But yeah, with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday or Friday. Or actually, no. Friday or Saturday. There you go. Wherever it is you're at. And hope to see you tomorrow as well with